Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 20 of Nerds and Words. Tim is gone this week, but he will be back next week. Instead, we are joined with two guests. But first, let's say hi to Potion Shop.
Hello.
Guest number 1 this week is Khur. Welcome back.
Yo, thank you guys for having me.
And guest number 2, BioHack. Welcome back as well.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you guys for coming back. So, how's everybody's week? Potion, you want to go first?
Yeah, I had a great week. Odyllita's out. I've been busy trying to 100% Odyllita, so we'll get into that later, of course, but that's been my journey. The big news for me, aside from that, though, is I hit level 66. I'm the first orc on 60 to get 66 on NA, so that's my big news of the week. And yeah, it's been a good week, though. I think I'm really excited for the podcast this week because we have so much to talk about for Odyllita and other things.
That's crazy. You had some interesting streams this week too, didn't you?
Yeah. So I had this idea to bring the timer back, and this timer basically is winning by subs. It's like a subathon, but instead of doing 3 minutes or 5 minutes like most people do, I did 20 minutes for subs. So anyway, the timer got out of control. I've been streaming for 5.5 days now, nonstop. So that was kind of insane. I've been sleeping on stream. So on a stream level outside of BDO, I've been going nonstop. I wake up and this one guy was like, "Bro, I thought that you slept so still. I thought that was a picture. Because I was just there laying out." And he realized after I started moving and waking up, he was like, "I thought that was a picture, bro." So
how many hours are you sleeping right now?
So day 1 I slept 4 hours, then I slept 8 hours. Then I slept 4 hours again. Then I slept 8 hours. So
okay, not bad.
Yeah, so 24 hours of sleeping in 5 days. Yeah, it's pretty healthy, I think. About 6 hours on average.
I didn't realize you were doing the subathon thing. I thought that you were just doing it to maintain drop viewers.
No. I wish that was that 5-head. I actually started it before I even knew Twitch drops were happening. And in Twitch drops, I basically was streaming before the patch, and my chat was like, "Yo, we're getting drops. And I was like, "What are you talking about, bro? There's no way we're getting drops. I would have heard about it. I'm a partner with Cacao." And they're like, "No, we're getting drops."
I was surprised too. Was I just not paying attention to the partner Discord?
No, I have no idea.
They didn't say anything. They were just like, "Oh, well, we may have something coming, but we don't know if we can tell you yet." Like they always do.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, bro, I was thoroughly surprised. So yeah, it was just happened to be during the timer and everything. I was using the timer as a fun thing for the stream. I thought it was gonna go a day, but yeah, it's just been chugging right along.
How much do you have left?
I have 1 hour and 54 minutes right now. But as soon as people realize that, it goes back up. It's been yesterday I got done 16 minutes and then stopped at 4 hours and then stayed at 4 hours for 16 hours. And so I was like, I thought it was over, and then it's like, "Oh, nope, we got another. You think it's 4 hours? Oh, nope, it's actually 16 hours." So I don't know. We'll see.
Nice.
I mean, it's been anyway. It'll be one that I remember for a long time. Yeah, there goes someone goes. So we mentioned it, and someone noticed, and now it's going back up again. All right. Well,
have you bothered looking up what the record for longest stream is?
The longest record stream was 3 days without sleep, so 72 hours, something like that. And then the most streamed in a month used to be it was something pretty low, 350, but now it's 550 in a month. So I'm not entirely sure what the record is right now, but it's something that I won't achieve. I've basically done 100 hours this week. So I mean, to do 500 hours is basically you're streaming basically the entire time.
All right. So, Khur, how was your week?
My week was kind of bittersweet, man. I was looking forward to the whole Odyllita hunting thing for such a long time, right? And I kind of kept myself from getting spoilers while a lot of people were testing it on the global labs. I just wanted to experience it fresh, but it was pretty disappointing to see how it's still worse than Feather Wolves, even though Feather Wolves has been out for 2 years, something like that, right? But that's pretty good
more than that.
otherwise.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. We'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about Odyllita, but that was a massive letdown for me. The whole hunting thing.
Agreed. But other
Have
than
you been
that,
able to mess with any of the other expansion, or has it mostly been that?
yeah, I was mostly doing that. And then like, going through getting the nodes and things like that. But yeah, that's about it. Just mostly doing hunting stuff. And then, yesterday I spent my day trying to help you get the drops, which it's crazy that you still didn't get any drops though.
Dude,
after
we went hard. They
Jesus.
had like 2 people carrying me for hours, and I still
There was like
got
3.
dropped.
There were 3 of us like killing wolves in Odyllita and like letting Moreland butcher all of the wolves, and he still didn't get the drops for the master match log. It's crazy.
BioHack, how was your week?
Good. Yeah, Odyllita's been fun. I've been mostly just pushing rupee questing, so I got up to over 25,000. I feel like the end is in sight. But when the patch dropped, I actually went through the whole main quest line and actually like read all the lore out loud for chat and everything. So I'm gonna have Stone Spoon edit that, and then I'm gonna make a YouTube video. But yeah,
You're
it took
making
like
an
5
Odyllita
hours.
lore video?
Odyllita lore video. I mean, it's gonna
lit,
be
dude.
like it is what it is. But you can like, if you want to know the lore and you don't want to do the quests, I'll read all the quests to you, basically. Although I hadn't planned on doing that ahead of time, so there's like gonna be random shit where I like pull up Raid Shadow Legends in the middle. But hopefully we can get rid of that as much of that as possible.
Hell yeah. Odyllita lore sponsored by Rain Shadow Legends. Let's go.
There you go.
My week was okay. Odyllita was a pretty big disappointment for me as well, which we'll get into in a bit. But on the flip side, I launched the beta for the Moreland.tv website, which currently is being hosted on another domain because it's only the beta, so we haven't released it on Moreland.tv yet. But we have the node tool mostly working. There's some quality of life stuff that we're still working out, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. Pretty soon I'll be able to make some YouTube guides out of it. People will be able to use that as just kind of like the go-to thing whenever they need information about nodes. And yeah, so far the feedback has been super positive, other than like nitpicky stuff. In terms of usability, everyone's saying that like they really like the look and it's intuitive and everything else. So I'm super happy that we finally have like a version of that people have gotten to try, because as you guys know, it's been like months of switching devs and trying to get someone who can actually do it. And Sir Philior, the guy who is working on the latest version, he's just been doing an amazing job. So it's been a huge relief to like finally have something to show for after all these months of work.
Yeah, for sure. You've put in an immense amount of effort on that too, both data collection and community-driven like data and stuff. Like the amount of work that you've had to do to get everything up and running on that. That's just the information alone of knowing what nodes even proc per hour and stuff with workers is huge.
Yeah, and it's an ongoing project too. We're researching Odyllita now that that's out, and going back and rechecking workloads since the node seed has changed over the years. So yeah, it's a lot of work.
How hard was like putting that into practice? Like, did you have to specifically find people that like knew about BDO, or did you just like find people that have had experience with like web building before, and you just kind of like crash coursed them on the information and the way it all works and things?
Yeah, so Philior, he played BDO a couple of years ago, so he was kind of out of date on some things, but he at least had the basic understanding of like, he remembered nodes and workers and kind of how all that worked. And then I taught him some of the more like advanced functions as far as like what the move speed formula is and workload and all that stuff. And he's just like a super good web developer, and he's a fast learner too. So anytime there was some feature or some function that he didn't understand, we would just chat about it and he would figure it out pretty quickly. So yeah, he's been super on point.
How do you handle workload? Because workload goes up and down quite frequently. Is there some way you can check that, or how's it work?
For the most part, it doesn't go up or down enough to affect which worker you need to use on the node. Nowadays with the double workloads, it's pretty much goblins everywhere except for a few exceptions. And those exceptions where you would want to use humans, you would only want to use humans if the workload was low enough for a human to be good, year round, right? Like regardless of market fluctuations or player behavior. So we pretty much just, it's just experience. I've just been watching the workloads, and I have kind of a decent enough understanding of the game and the market to predict if a node is going to actually be better with a goblin or a human. And we kind of just use that information to set the default workload for the node.
That's more than anyone else will ever need anyway, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you, Moreland. That's a big thing, honestly. And looking forward to BioHack getting that 30K. That 30K, I think, there's only like one other YouTuber who has 30K quest I know of?
Oh,
Carandus, I think?
Carandus has it. Yeah, he has a guide. I mean, there's a bunch of people who have it. I don't know YouTubers or Twitch streamers.
I don't know about a bunch of people. There's probably how many people do you think have it?
Have you guys heard of Bondin?
No, a few hundred probably.
You think it's hundreds?
Bondin has 50,000 quests done. Like dude's insane.
What?
That's a lifestyle.
There's like a handful of people. Yeah, it's crazy. But here's the thing: it's like he's not the only one. The number of people who've like, I have 30,000 quests and I've done 5,000 more, or 10,000 more, or 15,000 more. It's like they just like doing quests. It's weird.
Bro,
wow, okay, something for everyone, I guess.
I can't. It's hard to wrap my head around. Really, it really is. I have like 11,000, and I've got all my characters 61 through questing. Like, I don't know.
I'll do like 300 quests in a row, and it burns me out for the entire week. I can't keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a. I don't know. Like, BioHack, I understand this wants the silver income at the end of the day, right? I understand the motivation, exclusivity, and silver income. It makes sense. But for some of these other people, they're just doing it like 50K. Like I can't wrap my head around it. It's like maybe it's like the soothing nature of just having like AFK running around or something.
The big flex, dude. How many people can say they've done 50,000 quests? I guess right?
That's true.
Massive flex. Probably the biggest flex in the game. That's more impressive than full pen at this point, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can relate that a little bit though, because like I went for 66 for the sheer purpose of like just flex, right? That's the whole purpose. So
I mean, I spent 3 years working on Guru trading for no other reason than just
Yeah.
But then it got arbitrarily patched at the last second.
Dude, fuck Pearl Abyss. Oh my god, that was bullshit. I don't like hate doing quests though. Like some of you guys seem to like hate it. Like for me, you just like throw on a stream or something and just watch and just kind of like zone out and do quests. I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm not going to do it after 30,000, but I don't hate it.
I think once I do it like a full run 2 or 3 times and I have it memorized and I know what materials I need and I don't have to like think about it or read, I think then I'd be fine with it. It's just like the amount of attention that it takes on tedious after tedious task, like getting started. You know what I mean?
The biggest thing for me though is like, so like let's say you want that big fat stack to make a crazy item, right? Well, like if you count all the hours that you spent doing those quests, wouldn't have been the same as if you just hit it on a lower stack.
Or I think if all you want, I think if you're just doing it for the stack, like you're wasting your time. Like it's like 600 hours of questing. I mean, what is that? Like 120 billion? Like there's no item in the game that you can hit on that stack. And that's if you make 200 mil an hour, which is pretty low. There's no item in the game you could hit on that stack that you couldn't hit on like a 200 stack that would actually be worth 120 billion, except for maybe like pen.
That's why I just bought the sword instead.
Yeah, it's totally not worth it doing just for the stack. I mean, like the stack is nice for me, but I have lots of stacks that high. I'm doing it purely for the +5 base rate because I enhance all day long.
The +5 base rate is huge. Even for someone who doesn't enhance all day long, there's some interesting things you can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to jump into Odyllita since that is the news of the week?
Let's do it. Where do you guys want to start with? I put them all down here as topics, but we don't have to go in order. What do you got? What do you guys want to talk about?
Khur already brought up hunting, so let's dive into that because that is a bit of a travesty, and people need to know about it. Khur, you want to tell people what happened?
Okay, so basically, hunting been kind of like mediocre for a long time. There was a time where it was good with like the fort chopping and things, but they got rid of that shit real quick. But basically, with Odyllita, the idea is Odyllita was supposed to be really good because The wolves don't have feather wolf hide; they have regular wolf hide. They have pretty good proc rate for like meat and blood and stuff. And there were like huntable lions, so it's like okay, so there's different resources you can get. But there's currently like a problem where we don't know if it's intentional or not, but the meat and blood and hide and stuff you get isn't scaling with mastery. And we're not sure if that's intentional or not. So that kind of just makes it completely bad, at least until you get the master match lock and then you just leave, right? So yeah, that was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, so basically, other than the new drop, all the hunting content in Odyllita is pointless. It's just completely undertuned, like objectively worse than Common Sylvia. There's no trade-off other than the Breath of Narcion, which, you know, you're going to get once and then you're just going to get it and leave, right? Because the rest of the hunting there is not worthwhile.
Well, so
do you think they like do that on purpose, or like why do they intentionally release new expansion content undertuned like over and over and over again? Like they release all this new content that's just not worth doing.
For hunting, I got figured out. See, they developed Odyllita before Manos Mastery, and they just kept it for such a long time and delayed it for such a long time that they forgot to actually apply Mastery to Odyllita because it was developed before Mastery was. So it makes sense, right? I mean,
might actually be true.
What does their development process look like? Like that, like how are they coding this? Are they plugging in mastery for every single mob?
I just think it's just more so large scale incompetence. Like it's the same situation where when Valencia first came out, even after they came out with Common Valencia was still the place to go, right? When Dragon came out, Valencia was still the place to go. Now we have Odyllita, but most people still gonna grind Stars in if they want peak money per hour, right? Like they're gonna go to Odyllita, get their Dead God armor, flame, and then go back to Stars in. So I think it's more so just more incompetence than anything, personally. But that's just what I think.
Now, how is this new match lock? That you get it with hunting or something like that? How does this all work? How good is it too?
So basically, you hunt the new Odyllita zones, and they drop a rare drop called Breath of Narcion, and you need 5 to make the new matchlock. The new matchlock is pretty dang good, actually. It's like an extra 600 damage per shot and 20% extra. It's around 20% extra reload speed, so it's pretty good. But yeah, the new spots just aren't bad. It's basically just an overall buff to the old Featherwolf spot, because now you kill Featherwolves even faster, which was already the best spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it's enough for Featherwolves to be viable as an alternative to Gathering with a new matchlock, or is it still trailing significantly far behind?
No, because like hunting has a fundamental issue of being harder to get mastery, right? So hunting doesn't have a tool that gives mastery. So for example, I'm pin armor, full TED accessories, and almost G40 hunting, right? But that still equates to only 1600 mastery, whereas I'm G20 gathering, and with a pin tool I have 1900 gather mastery, right? So it'll always be 400 mastery behind gathering, just because there is no tool that gives mastery for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. What about those trade items that you get from Feather Wolves? Do those add up in any significant way?
Also, those trade items, they don't scale with mastery. So someone that has 900 mastery gets the same amount of mastery as a 1600 mastery. So if you have M2 trading, those trade items come out to be like 13 mil an hour, which is not bad. It just doesn't scale and get better as your mastery gets higher.
Can you use it to level trading? Like, is it a significant amount of XP, or is it just kind of a...
No, it's just a lot of money. Like every single one of those trade items is around 6 mil each. So
okay.
Yeah.
What I'm kind of curious about is like the benefit of hunting right now is that you spend a lot less energy on it. And I think that's really the only uplug that it has on gathering as a whole at this current time. Because gathering, has a huge energy problem going on right now. So, do you think that's enough to compensate?
Like that's kind of the entire point of the life skill. Like, if it isn't like hunting kind of slotted in as the life skill you can do when you can't gather anymore.
That's pretty much how I use it. Like, I feel a lot of people compare hunting and gathering together, where it's like, of course, gathering is going to win because it's more silver per hour. Mm-hmm. But the way I look at it is that you can gather when you have a lot of energy, but once you hit 0 energy, you go hunt while popping energy pots, and typically you'll regen more energy than you use, so you'll eventually get back to max energy. so you can consistently keep making silver and never have to stop, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's how most people do it. I still, even in that situation though, I feel like it's undertuned, and not only is it undertuned, it's more about like neglect. Hunting is something that they have attempted to update and then just sort of forgot about for years afterwards. I think this new sniping thing they had with a few tweaks could have actually been really, I mean, I call it new, it's been out for years, but like the whole sniping mini game could have been really interesting, and it could have been a good way to make money. It could have been kind of skill based, like you had to actually learn how to aim the rifle properly and get headshots and everything. And it could have been a more active way of gathering that required more practice and more skill, whatever. And it's like they implemented this sort of beta version of it that's kind of janky and undertuned that as well, and it's just immediately dead content that never gets updated, and that's it.
I totally agree, and I think it's really sad because that'd been the first time we would have seen the hunting life skill actually be updated in a meaningful way. Like, that's kind of what I wanted to see with horse training, right? I wanted to see like a shadow lion. I can breed shadow lions for different patterns and colors and stuff, or whatever the case is. I would like to see different mounts, but we have horses and we get new and new horses all the time, but never anything different. Like I was hoping the elephants or the camels would turn into something. But yeah, I get that though. Like I feel like the hunting is definitely needs some more love. Like like some fine love. Like there's like, some parts of the game that are bloated, like that just don't matter at all. Like Ultra Blood and Savage Rift and some of those things. And then they keep getting updated and new versions and stuff like that. But then like other content like hunting just gets ignored forever, and then arrives as dead content in Odyllita. It's just kind of crazy.
There's no sniper mobs in Odyllita, right?
Yeah, there's no sniper mobs. There's like a bear spot south of Olvia that got added to test server like a year ago, and then there's a sniper Valencia spot that's near Encado Harbor.
It's still only on test server, right?
Yeah, but they're only on test server.
It's just so weird. I don't know what the holdup is.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it is that they get projects started and then they cancel some projects and then they just get left as like halfway done forever. Where as a player, you see them as a completed project that needs more love and attention, but the developers just are like, all right, we're on to the next big thing.
Oh, dude, I've been wanting a node trading rework for a long time, similar to like the way bartering is. I'd really love them to do something like that with node trading.
Yeah. Bartering as a life skill shouldn't exist, if we're being honest.
It should just be trading on the ocean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
it's literally just ocean trading. Like, why did they I think they only made it a new life skill so they could advertise that they had a new life skill.
Yep, I totally agree. And they're doing it for the wrong reasons, because the players are going to see through that. Anybody who plays the game for more than 10 hours will realize that, it's the same thing as trading. So, yeah, I hope that they go back and start looking at these things. They said last year, what was it, December, for their developer update that they were looking at making trading more like updating it where it was more like a competition, sort of like the Imperials. So you could only grab so many, and so you'd be forced to go from different places, trying to look and see what was taken, what wasn't taken, and be like a competition layer. Which sounds interesting in theory.
In theory, it all sounds interesting.
So, like, would you guys prefer? Because, like, they keep coming out with keep focusing on putting new stuff in the game, expansions and things. Would you guys prefer like they do a content refresh more so than like the next expansion be them touching up old stuff and instead of like coming out or adding another region to the game?
I don't think the game needs any more regions. I mean, I don't know. Like, the problem with new regions, they take so much work, right? Like, I was going through and getting the knowledge entries for Odyllita, and I was just blown away by the amount of like new text that no one is going to read. They have to like put into the game and translate, and they have to come up with backstories for all these like side NPCs, all these like herb vendors, and these little towns have to have like their own lore, and like it seems like so many man hours and so much work for something that's going to get 99% ignored. Like, most people are just going to go to Odyllita, grind the 250 spot, and ignore the rest of the expansion. They'll do the main quest once without reading the text because they have to, and that's it, right? Like, I think if they spent the same amount of efforts going back and retouching life skills or retouching areas of the game that already exist and cleaning that up and getting rid of the bloat, they would get way more bang for their buck.
I totally agree.
I think the problem is like marketing is they can't advertise like, hey, we reworked trading as like something to, you know, hype people up into and put into the game. Which is I think why you see games like World of Warcraft or something, when they have an expansion, they like actually do go back and rework like all the life skills and everything, the professions and whatnot. I think that's what we need. I think we need an expansion update that like has all these reworks to these life skills and gets sold in the marketing as an actual expansion. But right now our expansions are basically a new zone. They're not really expansions in the way that other games get expansions.
I would say what they should do is make it seasons. Like instead of making seasons a season server, make it where it's a season update. So every season update, you get like, hey, look, we reworked hunting, we reworked trading, we reworked like X, Y, and Z, and so you get this season update, and so you can sell that as your huge content update, and people can know what to expect when they see that. And so you can see season 3 and like, what'd they do? Like, oh, we dumped seasons servers because people hated those and hated getting locked with early graduation and shit. And now we have a season update that's giving us making hunting Odyllita viable. We nerfed the 310 AP grind spot so people can actually grind it or something. I don't know. Like they can pick what they want to do, what they want to refresh, but they can, they'll give them the freedom to not just do DLCs anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go, because that's essentially what PoE does, right? Like PoE is not adding new regions; they're just adding new like features and mechanics every season. But people see a PoE season as a huge thing every 4 months,
Exactly.
and Black Desert could be the same way. Like they don't have to follow the World of Warcraft model of like add a new landmass every time you want good PR. Like you could do a seasonal thing and call it that if they actually understood, what a season was and what its purpose was, which they seem to not really be able to grasp quite yet. But I don't know, maybe in the future they'll figure it out.
This is kind of like a little tangent, but do you guys know anything about like the interworkings between like a game publisher and the developer? Because like talking about the Odyllita hunting and stuff like that, like it was Wednesday when we asked them for confirmation of whether it's intended for them to not scale with mastery, and here we are Saturday, and like we still haven't heard anything. Is that like is it normal?
It depends entirely on the contract. The contract governs everything when you have a publisher and a developer. So Korean companies tend to control everything, and the publisher has only the right to collect revenue. And
yeah, but he's asking about communication, Potion. He's saying like a bunch of us in the partner Discord have been blowing up Cacao all week asking about hunting, and we still don't have a response. And I can't imagine that that's normal. That seems to me like there's some sort of breakdown in communication or just a downright lack of respect for the publisher that Pearl Abyss is exhibiting here, because I think it's crazy that it's either that Cacao is not taking us seriously as partners, which is very likely, or it's the fact that Pearl Abyss is just not taking Cacao's questions seriously because they don't believe that Cacao represents the players like in their questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I would expect it just be like I know it's not like a simple yes or no, but it's like, yo, are these supposed to be scaling with mastery or not? Yes or no?
It should be a 5-minute email /response if they actually had a line of communication with each other that was functional in any way.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely disheartening. Definitely disheartening that you have like simple things like this can't get communicated or fixed if it is a problem.
Especially like on the night of a new expansion, you would think that they were like all the phone lines would be open. You know what I mean? You think that they would be like ready to help each other out. But
and you got to think too, like as a look at PoE, the competition, right? PoE is a competition to BDO in some areas. They come out with a patch, and in the very next day, they do a hot fix for the major bugs that they can figure out and determine and fix. Like 24 hours, they have 50% of the major bugs fixed. 1 week they have like 80% of the bugs fixed. 2 weeks there's like everything's fixed. And then they're just doing hot fixes left and right, getting everything done. And for us to not even be able to have a question answered, let alone have maybe a hot fix for it, is kind of crazy.
Yep.
Anyway, I think I guess the good news is that the new match lock seems pretty dope, and that will help increase the hunting revenue per hour. Hopefully, we get a hotfix or something for the Odyllita mobs, hunting mobs, so that it can become relevant. How many different types of hunting mobs do we have in Odyllita?
4, I think.
4. Yeah, 4. There's rhinos, lions, shadow wolves, and gazelles. It's 4.
And so, which ones do we think could be good with mastery then?
With mastery, honestly, they all could be good.
Really?
Because hunting the lions have really high like rare drop rate. Like I did like a 4-hour sample at lions, and I was averaging, granted I have high mastery, but I was averaging a combination of 50 hards and sharps, like any random combination of the both, just from hunting those spots. And which is like, if you're, and then you think like if you're getting a bunch of meat, anything that's like semi comparable to like gathering, it can be really good. But it just kind of comes back to the whole, if the base resources, which is where majority of your money going to come from in any kind of like gathering or hunting, right? If the base resources aren't good or in a comparable quantity, then it's probably not going to stand the test of time,
Yeah, that's true. And is this matchlock, like, is it basically like a treasure item? How many hours does it take to acquire this thing on average? Do we know?
Man, well, ask Moreland. It's
Hard to say.
We were like funneling kills into Moreland for like hours and hours. But then some people get it in 4 hours. I got lucky and I got mine in like 4 hours, 4.5 hours. But then there's people that have been going for 9-10 hours and haven't gotten it. So it's just really RNG based, I guess, right? Which is cool, right? Like I think that's like an awesome allure to like the thing where it's like something you have to like kind of go out of your way to get, right? But it's just kind of disheartening that the spots themselves, it's like you're throwing away time, right? It makes you feel like you would just rather put up a pre-order for the item that you need and then just go do something else. But
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the grind for the Breath of Narcion if the actual hunting in Odyllita didn't feel like it was a colossal waste of time. Like if it was even remotely viable, then it's fine that it takes days or even weeks to get the rare item, and the item can be rare and sought after, and that's whatever. It's the fact that like I feel like over and over again they make you do things in this game that you hate doing, and you have to do that thing you hate doing in order to get the item that you want. And it's like there's no way around it. There's no way to have fun while you're pursuing it. You just have to suffer.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think we were talking about that for like maybe these new grind spots. Like we were talking about like, hey, you used to have to go back to Caltheon to reset your knowledge, and like I'll be honest, I didn't like going back to Caltheon every time I wanted to reset my knowledge. But there was something about being able to leave the grind spot, every so often to like go do something else that kind of got changed up the pace of the grind spot, made it a little bit more enjoyable, right? Just because it was like, it wasn't like just go grind a grind spot for 20 hours. It was like grind a grind spot for maybe an hour and then go reset everything. And I definitely feel like there's been some of that magic's kind of lost when you release a grind spot and things are dead on arrival, right? And you have this, you have to do it, but you don't want to do it, which is like a really, really strange thing to happen in a video game where it's supposed to be just for fun.
Yeah, you want to just be having fun. You want what you're doing in the game to feel rewarding. You don't want it to feel like a chore. And I don't know, some of the stuff that these devs do, it just feels downright sadistic. It's like they're forcing you to play the game as a chore instead of playing the game as a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people say that you shouldn't really think of the entire game in silver per hour, but like, shit, dude, it's really hard not to, because I find myself falling into that same little loop as well, where it's like balancing, like, yeah, I love hunting. It's like my favorite thing to do in the game. But if I could literally just go press R on trees and break 250 mil every single hour, it's like, you know what I mean? It just makes it hard to keep that fun and like efficiency in balance, if that makes sense.
And especially when like we used to have a version of this game where being creative with life skills actually did pay off, right? Like figuring out your nodes was important. Figuring out workshops was important. Deciding like if you were going to gather hide or if you were going to gather rough stone, like there were trade-offs, and it depended on what other activities you were doing. Like there were so many interconnected activities that you did as a life skiller that being creative and changing it up actually would reward you. And now it's like the game has been boiled down to 2 or three activities that dominate everything else, there's no room for creativity anymore because the meta is just so rigid. And that's like I was looking at the workshops in Odraxia when Odyllita came out. Like, I'm exploring, I click on Odraxia, there's one chain of buildings in Odraxia, and the only interesting thing in the entire town is that there's a level 4 tool workshop. So like there's a new place where you can make your tools instead of Glish. That's it. There's no interesting workshops. All the new stuff you can make is just furniture. Like there's just nothing for life skillers in this expansion.
Yeah, true. I mean, it just feels a lot of things just feel very, very, very paper thin, and it makes me really wonder, like it goes back to the whole thing of like, are they really working efficiently enough? Like, they really like what's going on? Like, is it a manpower thing? Is it an efficiency problem? Like, because when you see something like this and you see an update where you have 4 grind spots, it took almost 2 years for it to come out, and it has basically no life skilling whatsoever. And only like 1 or 2 viable grind spots. It's just like, what did you do with 2 years of time?
Here's the problem, though. It's like it feels like it should take way more time to actually develop the spots, which they did, than it does to just tune them to make them not garbage. You know what I mean? Like the hunting, they took the time to put the hunting spots in the game. They just didn't balance them properly, and so they're a waste of time. Like it's almost the opposite. It's like, why are you spending so much time on content and then like completely ignoring the part where you actually try and balance it to make it relevant or worth doing?
Yeah, it's like they do 95% of the work, and the 5% that they leave out is the most important 5%.
True. It's like they made an entire car, but didn't put on the tires,
Also, to clarify, no life skills. Life skills aren't underpowered. Like, let's be honest, gathering and cooking is pretty broken. It's just
if
more
anyone
so
says
that,
life skills are underpowered, they are like living in La La Land.
yeah, like it's just
Or
more
they're-
so
or
about
they're a wizard.
diversity.
Or they're a wizard and they want buffs for life skills also. Yeah,
Life skills are and have almost always been the most efficient, best way to make money in this game for people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing is like for people who know what they're doing, right? Like nowadays in BDO, pretty much if you want to make good money with like you just go chop shoot. It's not that it doesn't take that much brain power to figure out like how to min max your life skills in 2020. There's a couple strategies that work, and everything else is just not meta.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't done life skills in like a year, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to move on to grind spots? Talk about those.
Oh, can't wait.
Let's start off with in order of AP. I think that'll be the most relevant. So the 250 AP grind spot came out. It's Thorn Forest. There's 3 or 4 viable grind spots there. What do you guys think about it?
I think this is probably the most successful part of the entire expansion by far, the 250 AP grind spot.
I can agree with that for sure. I think it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, it's got a good drop. The drop isn't crazy. I don't think it's, people are going to argue about whether or not it's the best ring. I think for a lot of people probably isn't. But it's a good drop. It's a good grind spot. I feel like everyone who's gone there, I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but everyone in my chat is saying that like they really like grinding there. It feels rewarding. I think this is kind of the only part of Odyllita that was actually a hit.
Yeah, I don't have any like data recorded down or anything, but just basically based on like 10 hours of grinding there. It's about 135 mil an hour with current marketplace prices. And then I don't know what the ring drop rate is. I've heard anything from 3 hours all the way up to 10 hours. I don't really know. But if we assume it's something around like 3 to 5 hours, it's about 160 to 170 mil an hour. Something like that. And that's pretty reasonable. With the current prices and everything, it's pretty reasonable. That makes it a very strong competitor to Histria. And the EXP is probably the best of, maybe any grind spot within like the AP range of 250. So like I think it's like even if it is less money, people will still go here for the EXP grind, which I think is good. I'm looking forward to it. I grinded out my full S knowledge the other day here, and so
yeah,
that's why
I'm probably going to go there just to get the S knowledge and see how it is. BioHack.
I like it as a transitional spot from seasons, because like getting the seasonal gear, like getting the full Pin to Vala gear is like it felt perfect for that place. Granted, I was messing around with it on a Succession Ranger, which may or not be better at PvE than some other classes do. But it felt pretty good as like a, not as, obviously it's not as good as Star's End or something like that, right? But like it felt really good as a transitional spot, like transitioning out of seasonal type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was I think like for classes that are a little stronger too, like Hashin and Witch Wizard, Striker, Succession stuff. Like this is like a good spot to go to, and then just like stay out of the way because there's 4 rotations, and you don't have to worry about all that. I'm really curious what the because they have a crystal drop here for your awakening weapon, and it gives you 3 accuracy and 5 monster AP. And I'm kind of curious how much demand there's going to be for that new crystal. And I think that's going to have a big influence potentially on the price. Right now, you basically break even if you make one and sell it on the marketplace. And you make a little bit of profit on EU. But that's what I'm really curious to see what turns out. Because if that ends up being worth like 300 mil, that's going to make this spot like around 200 mil an hour probably. So that could be really good.
I don't think there's going to be a huge demand for those crystals. I think most people are going to just move like crystals from their boots or whatever into their weapon and then use different crystals in their regular armor.
So Han Hooms into the weapon?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will just put their Hooms into the awakening weapon and then wear adamantines in their boot or like some equivalent of that. I don't know if people are going to... I think for PvEers, maybe the new crystals are really appealing, like if you don't have for PvP. But for, I think most PvP setups, people are going to ignore the new crystals and just go for like resistances or something or more evasion in their old setup.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Because I think it's only 5 human damage, which is kind of underwhelming compared to Han Hooms.
Yeah. But they're decent. I mean, being able to put crystals in your awakened weapon is, it's kind of cool. I just wish we had a new boss or something like that. Again, it's like
I need a field boss.
Reusing Garmoth's heart for the new reform. That feels so like phoned in to me. Like
I'm kind of fine with that, but I do think there needs to be some type of field boss or some type of boss that for me to kind of break up the monotony and feel like there's something to focus on. Like Garmoth was really cool because that was like the entire Dregan theme, right? It was dragons, blood wolves raised Garmoth. And then like they had this like whole lore centered around it, and definitely missing that.
Yeah.
Would you want a field boss or a world boss?
Just anything that's not Garmoth. Just some other way to get an item to reform that's not like, oh, I'm gonna now go buy a second item that I already bought 2 years ago and buy it again because there's an expansion.
They should have a world boss to give us an accuracy offhand. That's what we really need. An accuracy boss offhand.
Yes, dude. Oh my god. Bio wants Bio, you want an accuracy boss offhand, dude?
I want an evasion boss offhand.
No evasion boss offhand. Stop it.
Delete that from the VOD. That's like
actually, dude, an evasion boss offhand would be like really weird because a lot of classes don't have a pure evasion offhand, so that would Striker and Mystic would
the
be
warrior
super strong.
version would just be a bunch of DR probably. So what's next? The Turo spot?
The Toro spot. I actually I got my flame there. It's awesome. What do you guys think of the spot? It's about a bunch of cows. You get to kill cows all day long.
I think it's the most tedious grinding I've ever done in BDO.
From the outside, as someone who's just watched a lot of people grind it a lot, but hasn't grinded myself, the pools look gross. Like the having to do the double pools because the guys never like group up anywhere near good. So you're like blowing your load on like 3 mobs, and you got like 1 or 2 they're just standing on the outside chunking spears, and it looked really tedious. Yeah, like Moro said.
Yeah, for a spot that's like so pole dependent, it's a little annoying that the mobs have so many ranged attacks. But they're like not full range. Like they will come to you eventually. They're just going to throw rocks at you for like 5 minutes first.
It feels like the devs think that you're supposed to grind the spot without doing double pulls because they almost intentionally space the mobs out so that it's like almost impossible to do the pull correctly. Like it feels like they just want you to run up to one group of mobs and kill it and then run up to the next group of mobs and kill it. But if you do that, you're so inefficient and it's just a terrible spot. So you have to do the double pulls, but then the mobs have weird behavior where they won't actually come into melee range, and unless you go melee them, in which case you leash the second pole that you were trying to grab, and it's like, oh no, man, it's so tedious.
Yeah, and if it's not that, you need to play a range class like DK, so then you can hit them from far enough away while you're aggroing the other pack, so you can get both of them. But then if you're doing that, then you still have two spear chuckers who are like, I'm not coming over there. Fuck that. That looks dangerous. You know.
Like the pulls on using the archer are actually not that bad. Like I don't know, I don't mind the pulls that much. It's the CC that drives me more crazy than anything. Well, I mean, the pulls are a little annoying, but I feel like they're doable, and they're sort of. It's weird that they kind of like spaced them like so that you have enough room, but like they still leash, because that's a little awkward.
I think they were trying to make Gyfin. I think they were trying to copy Gyfin, because Gyfin, you can't CC. They have a few CCs themselves, but there's a lot of things that are different about Gyfin. Like they're slower attacking. There's only one ranged mob and not a whole bunch of them. You have to overlap them, but they're better spaced at Gyfin than they are. I feel like they just kind of copied Gyfin, and they just did a really poor job of it and not really understood what made Gyfin what it was. Because even the belt drop rate has the same drop rate as Gyfin, it feels like. It's like every 9 hours you get a belt.
The belt drop rate is so low. I am glad. I will say I got to give them credit for this Embers thing, because at least they put in even though it's a low drop rate, at least they put in some kind of failsafe. Because there's a lot of people. I think Blonde Bear grinded all the way to 100 Embers and never got a flame, right?
Yep, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, thank God for that. Otherwise, he'd still be there, right? Just like having no idea how much more of this hell he has to endure.
that one good employee finally got something through.
Yeah,
finally got a fail safe in.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, couldn't do it for the infinite potion, but he did it for the flame of despair. So shout out to whoever that guy is.
And another thing that's really weird about this spot is Wizard's aggro emblem will pull them like they're melee mobs. So the Wizard has this huge advantage at the grind spot, and so basically, if you're not grinding with the Wizard, then you're basically losing like 20% of your income. Because
which Wizard having an advantage? Surely not. Not in BDO. There's no way.
But yeah, that's a whole nother problem with the grind spot too. Is that if you're not grinding with a Witch or Wizard in it, then you're losing a huge chunk of income. Not to mention that those classes are already more powerful in PvE as it is. So the disparity between like 2 Tamers grinding there and like 2 Wizards grinding there is like literally double the income. It's actually double the income now. But the income's not bad. It's like 100. It's like 200 to 250 mil an hour. It's gonna be I think right now it's 200, and when the belt goes up to 380 million a piece, then it will be about 250 an hour. So the income's actually not bad. So if they can fix the CCs,
200 mil an hour.
Oh yeah. Well, me and Blonde Bear are like 300 AP, so that makes it a little bit easier. But
wait, break that down for me. What's how much of that is trash?
Trash loot is 2,500 to 3,500. And then that ends up being about 50 to 70 mil. Then you get 25 to 35 Caphras. And that's proportional to like basically every 100 trash loot you get like 1 Caphras. That's a good way of thinking about it. And so that ends up being about another 100 mil right there in Caphras. You get 150. No, is it 150? I forget how many Blackstones you get. You get a fuckload of Blackstones. I think it's 150 Blackstones an hour. I think is what it is. I sold like 3,000 Blackstones.
It is a lot of Blackstones. Yeah, that's true.
And that ends up being another. It ends up being like another like 30. I think it was like 30 or 40 mil an hour. So basically, those stuff alone ended up being really close to 200. Like it's a little less than 200, but about really close to 200.
Is that with or without Agris?
That's without Agris. That's
Man, I don't know. You're getting way more shit than I am. I got with the drops I was getting at 3K trash, I would only be making about 150 mil or maybe 160 mil an hour. So I don't know. You're getting like way more Caphras than I am. Is it something to do with the bosses? Maybe you guys just have a better rotation than we do? Like, have you found out how to make the boss spawn more often?
No, the boss seems to be RNG. There is one rotation where you have 2 boss spawns. But basically what happens is when you kill the mobs, he can spawn at one boss or the other boss. Only one of them spawns. But we need to test out that spot and see if you can if that increases your chance of getting a boss or not. That's like the waterfall rotation. But yeah, how much trash are we pulling in?
Trying to figure out as well. Because apparently if you loot Ulanka's call or whatever what the item is that spawns in, but you're too far away from the spot and it just doesn't do anything. So I guess there's like a proximity around the boss spawn that would be optimal, but I haven't been able to like figure out what that is.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And if there was a rotation where you were bouncing back and forth between two boss spawns, that might end up being better than just circling one. Who knows?
Yeah, or maybe I wonder if like they spaced it where some of the bosses where they spawn they overlap, so you potentially could get two bosses then.
Yeah, I think something like that is probably gonna. Were you guys running through the past the big tree and the mountains? I don't even know how to describe it. It might have been a waterfall. Is that what you're talking about?
We were not in the water rotation. So the rotation we were at was on the far right-hand side of Toro, almost over there where the rhinos are at. You know where the rhinos are at over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were basically going the rhinos and you go up, and that's the rotation we're in. I think it's the same rotation you were doing.
I might have to go watch your VOD and see if you guys are doing something different than us.
Yeah, I think I think it was fairly similar. But anyway, I think that I think the embers are worth 6 million apiece. So you get 3 to 5 embers an hour. So that's an additional. That's a lot of money. That's another like 20 mil an hour, even if you're doing bad. So that adds up as well. And
how many embers an hour are you getting?
Embers, you get 3 to 5 an hour.
How are you getting so many more embers than me? You're getting so much more rare shit than I am.
Yeah, five embers was like 4 or 5 embers was basically the first couple hours, and when we noticed after like a while, it was basically consistently 3. But like the first couple hours before everybody was there, we were getting like solid. We got like 5 boss spawns. We got a whole bunch of stuff the first couple hours, and then after that, it dropped down to about 3. But that's why I say like 3 to 5 because I'm not really sure what the average is. I haven't grinded there enough to know what the true average of all this is. Right? So
I don't think I've ever gotten 3 embers in a single hour. That's wild.
Oh yeah, we definitely had several hours. We got 3 to 5, like for sure. I'm at 60
I think
right
somebody
now.
turned off your RNG, Moro, because you've been struggling with like the breaths of Narcion and the flames.
I can't get any of this new shit.
Zethian has a post on his Discord apparently that says if you're farther than 75 meters away when you loot the item, the boss won't spawn. I don't know how he knows that, but that's what he's claiming.
They probably tested it. Is there a map or something that shows where the boss locations are though? Because I only know of the one spot.
There's I think 5 spots, I believe. I'll have to look them up though. I'll make like a video guide for it or a map or something. Actually, I'll make a map like I did for Sakurai. That'd be pretty fun.
There you go. Yeah, I'll upvote that.
I think it's the only post I've ever gotten upvoted on Reddit. Anyway, like I think if they fix the aggro range, the amount of CCs, and they fix where they make the spear guys 80% of the time do melee attacks instead of spear attacks, I think that spot would be fixed like literally overnight. Because I think the money per hour is good enough there for people to do it. The belt drop rate's 9 hours. For each individual to get a belt on average is what we currently think it is. Obviously need a lot more testing to figure that out for sure. But that goes with 380 million. So 380 million divided by 9 is still good money, with everything considered. And with getting so many Kafirs per hour, with Ancient Spirit Dust, right? That's going to be a place to go through just for that.
In terms of silver and materials, I think they did a good job. I just think the actual mob behavior is so unfun. If they fixed, I don't even care about the CCs that much. I just wish they would fix the mob behavior and the leash range, and then I think it would be a solid spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's so close. Like literally one patch and some numbers changed in the files. Like it's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully they go back in that. And I think that they've gotten a lot of feedback about it. Like I think almost unanimously every single streamer has been like, I really like the spot, but I don't like how these mobs act. Because thematically it's awesome. The boss fight, great. I have nothing bad to say about the thematics in the boss fight, really. Other than I got like 70% of my HP knocked off at nighttime, but
I was surprised. Those guys hit hard.
Yeah, those guys can chunk.
I was sitting there and he went, "Hwah!" and I lost 70% of my HP and went, "Hwah!" and I died. I was like, "Ah." I like it though. It has a good theme.
Has anyone tried the 300 AP spot?
I got
Apparently
one shot.
It's a free man.
I got one shot. Oh yeah, I
You got
saw
one shot at
BioHack. I heard you
300 or
grinded
the
there.
310?
I was grinding there. I did both.
Did you get
Tell us
one
about
shot
it.
ever?
I got one shot a couple times. I mean, the thing is like, yeah, it's a one shot, but it's like, motherfucker, you're not supposed to get hit. Like, there's these big, like red circles, and you don't stand in the circles, and you won't get one shot. Now sometimes that's hard because like the circles literally fill up the entire map, and like you have to get like really close to the specific mob, or he'll one shot you. But I mean, like the idea there is like you don't get hit by the mobs. They all have really long, slow animations, and you just dodge them, right? So your DP honestly doesn't matter because you should never get hit.
Right.
I don't know. I was just soloing it. It takes a long time to kill him, but I mean, the rich merchant ring piece drops there, piece 5, the piece, the only one that matters. So I'm gonna have to grind there a lot eventually. I was
Well,
also watching some videos of Koreans do it and stuff.
you got Blonde Bear and me. We're ready. Well, not ready, but we will be ready. By the time you have the other pieces, we'll be ready. We'll be ready for it. Blonde Bear
All
said
right.
he already wants to do it, and I'm down for it. I need to get my DP up.
If you grind with Blonde Bear, he's going to get the piece, bro. I'm just letting you know now. So if you want the piece, you do not add Blonde Bear to your party.
Maybe his luck will leech over.
That's what happened to me. I got
Potion got his flame in like an hour of grinding with Blonde Bear.
Yeah,
That's
an hour
the
and 8
secret.
minutes.
Maybe you're onto something, dude. Maybe that's the secret.
Yeah, you grind with Blonde Bear for extra luck. It's like an on-off switch, right? It's either you get all the luck yourself, or Blonde Bear takes all the luck, and you just gotta flip that coin every single time to see which one it is. That's just how it
Yeah,
goes.
congrats Blonde Bear on Try Dead God.
Yeah, that's awesome. How much is it? It's 3 DP per click on it, right? For the Fallen God.
It's yeah, but it's got good hidden stats too. I think it's equivalent to like 2.5 Caphras levels per upgrade.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's like a Caphras 27 or something.
Wait, at try?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, let me get some Caphras levels real quick. I need to get this thing rocking. That's huge.
Yeah, it's super strong because the base version is equal to a Caphras 20.
Wait, no, base dead god is worth a C10.
Oh no, you're right. Duo is equal to Caphras 20. So try is like Caphras 23.
That's still really good. But Caphras 27 would be at Tet, which is still within reason.
Yeah, I was mixing it up with weapons, but yeah, it's still like getting Duo and getting C20 for way less than what an actual C20 costs is really solid. And then one tapping try is pretty fucking neat.
Easy clap. I mean, he spent the time out and grinded out all 100 of the little what are they called? Embers. He grinded out all 100 embers, so that he earned that, right? So
yeah, he did, dude. I've got 10 so far.
I think Byrog 2-tapped his Tet today. His Tet they got
Byrog.
crazy.
Yeah.
how hasn't he gotten really lucky on his Black Star too?
2-tapped it.
He 2-tapped his Black Star, but we cannot give Byrog any shit for RNG because that man has spent like 300 billion silver on pen accessories and doesn't have shit.
Yeah,
He puts his time in. Dude, I'll give him that. Byrog always puts the time in.
Byrog has had like garbage.
Yeah, he spent some insane amount on his pin monos clothes too, right? I remember when he was going for the pin gatherers early on, and he spent like 3 times what it was supposed to cost. It was excruciating.
Also, he plays on EU, so he can't use crons.
True, dude.
Wait, how did he get them then? He just bought them from the vendor?
He must have. I don't know. Well, his accessories he's doing raw. I assume he bought vendor crons or maybe like saved up outfits for months to do the Dead God.
Yeah, if you don't tap it in EU, you basically that's a wrap. You're not gonna get more costumes.
Yeah.
Oh
my god, the costume sale we had on NA was so good. Holy shit, I got so many.
Yo, speaking about that bio, do you hear what they did on console? They increased the price of costumes. But they didn't increase the number of crons you get.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
I can't wait for them to do that.
Bro,
on it.
console doesn't even have Cafris. Like, what are they doing on that game? Holy shit, dude.
Well,
Like, I don't know if they're gonna do that on an A, but like, I don't. I am afraid that they don't understand like what that means that they did that on like our region. Like that would literally like grandfather people like me in so fucking hard. Can you imagine if like basically the price of everything went up 50% and not like inflation 50%, but like real cost, true value 50% increase? That would be nuts.
Well, that's what they do. Well, I mean, it's either way. It's 50% increase for you, right? Because if they increase the costume by 50%, then you make your 100 and what is it? 100 and how much build do you have in costumes? What the fuck? I can't remember it.
Oh yeah, I have like 200 bill in costumes.
Yeah, so
it's a lot of free crons.
So it goes from 200 bill, and if it increases by 50% in crons, then you go from 200 bill to 300 bill in crons. But if they do the reverse, then you make more money on the back end on selling your pins, right? Your pin armor. So either way, you make money on it. It doesn't matter. In the short term, it doesn't matter. But I think long term it matters a lot because it basically means that the cron price is, instead of being 1 million for costumes and 2 million from the vendor, is like 1.2 million from costumes and 2 million from the vendor. So buying them from the vendor is not as bad as it used to be in that case.
I don't know why it's so hard to just make a new item ID for the costumes and just not have the pre-patch ones be different. Like there's no way that takes more than like an hour of work, just like one dev with like a spreadsheet, just making new item IDs and then importing those into the game and overwriting the old ones. Like I don't know, dude. It's baffling to me. They must have some spaghetti code that just prevents them from doing this correctly.
I think it's a manual process. I think is what it is. Yeah, it has to be spaghetti. I agree with spaghetti code.
So people in my chat are saying that on console they were getting 370 crons for 160 mil before, and now they're 300. So that might be why they didn't increase the number of crons on EU, because they're already they're already like way better than NA on console. Now they're like they're still way better than PC on console, but they're not like half as much.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense then. That's the context is always key, Chad. It's always key.
But it's still really dumb because it grandfathers everyone who got their gear before that update into like a massive advantage over people who didn't. Well, so it's really dumb. But they should have balanced it at a 1 mil to 1, 1 cron ratio before that.
I'll say that on the Cafris note, why they don't have Cafris yet, the problem is the pay-to-win players are like full pin already. And then the casual players are like not even soft cap gear. They're like tri armor and stuff. So it's already in a state where the free players can't kill the pay to win players very easily. And on NA, it's on PC. That's already a small problem. But on console, it's a huge problem. And if you add Cafris on top of that, these people who would go from already being close to unkillable would be like, they go from this being gods. They just walk around like, you can't kill me in a million years.
Okay, but think about when Cafris was added on PC. When Cafris was added on PC, we were kind of in the same spot. Like most people were not even soft cap yet. There were a couple whales who, could 10k Andy their way to pin armor or whatever. But, there weren't a lot of people that actually were Cafrising pins at that point. Most people were still working on getting 253 AP.
Yeah, it makes sense. I do think PC was a little better than console is currently, but I mean, maybe at this point people are complaining about it so much, it might just be like bite the bullet and like just do it anyway. Do it, release the Cafris, and even if it is going to make the pay-to-win players more strong, so the casual people stop complaining about it. At some point, it gets to the point where people will just, even if it's not good for them, you should give it to them anyway because they're not going to stop complaining otherwise. So, I don't know.
Did you guys try the 310 spot?
I killed some mobs there.
It's only 10 more AP than the other spot.
It took me like 10 minutes to kill 3 of them.
What'd you get?
What AP?
I got C knowledge on one, so that's good.
Damn.
Well, you actually have the knowledge category unlocked then. What? Is it different than the regular Thorn Forest one?
I don't know. I just looked at it. I'm pretty sure that was the mod. Now you're making me second guess myself. But yeah, I'd have to look.
I was really curious if they had different knowledge or not.
Did you get one tapped by those mobs?
No.
What DP and what AP were you at?
309 AP and full 10 C20 everything in the armor. Well, C10 armor.
So
slot, but
close to 400
C20
DP.
everything else. Yeah, like 401 or something. I don't know.
Okay. So
and those mobs didn't one shot you?
No.
the 300 AP grind spot, the Orland Valley, is actually hits harder than the 310.
I have a Heeb Dark Chaser and a Heeb Dark Mage. I think it's the Dark Mage. It's the one I got. Maybe I don't know. Now I'm second guessing, but yeah, I don't know. I spent like 5. Well, actually more than that. I know I popped 2 of the like E buff on the Archer, which I think is a 3-minute cooldown in the fight.
So you spent like 6 minutes killing a mob and then got like what, 500k worth of loot?
Something like that, yeah.
Sweet.
They drop a ring piece there, but it's also the one you can get from the like bartering and stuff. So
Is that spot just like a placeholder? I don't understand. It seems like a practical joke to me. Like, why is it even in the game? Like, even at 310 AP, you can't grind it efficiently.
So I actually kept up with this on Global Labs. Global Labs, it used to be on the Thorn Castle, is where that grind spot used to be. So you'd go around in Thorn Castle, the little island out there, and then they moved it from Thorn Castle and made a cave and put it into cave. And that changed relatively recently. Like relatively recently, as in like the last 9 months, right before it came out in KR. Like the month before it came out in KR, it changed. And that's when they announced also that they were going to have the little battle arena on the island at Thorn Castle, which they don't have out yet. So I think that they kind of just rushed the grind spot, and they didn't really think much about it. You know, they said, hey, we can just make the same mobs, copy paste the mobs, put them in a new spot, change the numbers, and increase the trash loot. And I don't think they put a lot of thought into it.
There must be some new like orange grid accessory or something that they thought about releasing but didn't. Like the whole spot just doesn't even have a rare drop, right? It's just like,
well, Ash
big
Forest didn't
trash.
have one when it came out. So it could be that they'll add one later on, like they did for Ash Forest.
yeah,
Deborica Belt. Honestly,
probably what it is.
wouldn't be a bad idea, honestly.
Sure, why not?
not a belt.
I really want to know what the meta is for the 300 AP grind spot. If it's going to be like 1 tank and 2 DPS, or this a full party of DPS like Mirmok. I really want to know what
You're not going to tank them, that's for sure.
How much? I mean, would a 600 DP build tank them?
I don't know, but even if you could tank them, it would be pointless. Like you can just move to your left and then not take any damage. So why would you stand there and take a full hit?
Hmm.
Like their animations are really slow. You don't need to tank them. You need to dodge them. What's the point of tanking them?
Okay.
Tanking and BDO, Omega lol.
So you get one shot, or you dodge the attack and take no damage.
I mean, it's not even like you know, like hard to dodge an attack. It's like it puts a big red, you know, danger zone around it. Like it very clearly intends you not to stand there. And it gives you lots of time to get out. Well, maybe not. I mean, you know, it gives you time to get out.
I got one shot by the mob in there by like a mile away. He did this ground slam attack, and it was like this earthquake of ground just went and just chased me down and killed me from a while away. But
Oh, really?
yeah. So I was just curious because like I that was my only experience, and I saw the towers that do like the AoE attacks that you're talking about. And I was like, after I got one shot, I was like, well, you know, didn't lose the crystal this time. I'd rather not lose one, so I'll just come back when I have more gear and try it again. Yeah, maybe a tank shy, possibly. I don't know.
Do you guys think Ash 4 should be party loot drop? Speaking of like
Yes.
really strong spots that are like unbalanced.
I don't
That'll
know.
make it more interesting. I don't know. I Ash Force, like, it has this very niche use, right? For like ultra endgame players to go grind for this item that they can't get any other way. So that's got some interest. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of interesting. I don't know if Ash Force necessarily should be a grind spot that's like meta for non-Deboreka reasons.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I'm not sure how.
I like the idea of a few grind spots always having value for the rest of forever because of an item, like one extremely cool item. Like the map pieces at Sulfur Mine and Pilaku will make those grind spots relevant for forever, even though the grind spots are not meta, right? And I think that's interesting because it gives some a reason to go there. Like the 300 AP grind spot, we will go there for the Rich Merchant ring eventually, and that is kind of neat. So I'm kind of okay with how Ash Forest is right now, personally. Maybe they increased the necklace drop rate. The necklace drop rate is still pretty appalling.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty cool that they have a reason to go to certain places without just silver per hour being taken into account. I agree with that. Yeah.
Do you think pin narcs, I have 2 pin narcs, will increase in value because Odyllita has Kama Sylvan damage? They're all Kama Sylvan damage? No?
I was hoping they would.
I hope so
Maybe a little
too.
bit, yeah.
I've been banking on that.
It just depends on whether people want to grind there long term. Like if people start grinding Turos instead of Star's End, then yeah, I think it would create additional demand for Narc. But
yeah,
just depends if people actually care
I'm
enough.
keeping
to
my
like
narcs for Ash Forest grind.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. 400 DP, and then I'll go right over there. Check it out. Let's see. What's next on the list? What?
Food and elixirs. There's some interesting new elixirs. There's like there's a life skill mastery elixir, and then what else did they add? They added a couple other interesting things.
Oh, the draft has how much life skill mastery on it? Is it 25?
The green is 10 and the blue is 15.
Is this the elixir then, not draft?
Yes, elixir.
Okay. So 25. That's half of a bracket for gathering. So that's worth 2 million at most gathering spots. So that's actually pretty good. You pop the elixir, an extra 2 million. I don't know if that pays for itself. Does it pay for itself? How much does the elixir cost?
I think so. I think, well, I guess it just really depends on what bracket it gives you, right? Because going from 1850 to 1900 is going to be a more notable increase than going from 900 to 950 bracket, right? So I guess it really just depends on what bracket, but I would think so. I would think it would matter, right? Because like
4 million for a bracket.
We pop seafood cron meal, all right. Granted, they are 1 silver right now, but you know,
yeah.
It's 8-minute duration though. Like they need to add a party version, right? Get the 15-minute.
Yeah, I think if they had the party version, then it'd be a done deal. Because that'd be, you know, I think at that point you would pop 4 of them an hour. It's not so tedious.
I think it's come down to how tedious they are to make. Because like you gotta have like the thornwood sap and stuff, and there isn't really like a really good rotation to collect like the thornwood trees. They're really spread out.
3,000 an hour. That's how much sap you can get. Maybe 4,000 if you're crazy. Which is not much. For anyone wondering about that, it's on north of Odraxia. There's a little mountain there, and there's like, I think like 13 or 19 trees up on that mountain. The trees have a 15-minute respawn timer on them.
That's one thing I'm curious about. Is we talked about how there's nothing in Odyllita for life skills, but like people kind of said the same thing about Dregan until we discovered, you know, the new snake and scorpion rotations and like new sap rotations and like all sorts of things like that. So it's quite possible that there's actually really meta life skilling stuff in the Draxia we just haven't figured out yet, or at least is not common knowledge yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all going to depend on what the market caps for those elixirs are. If the market cap is really bad, like sometimes they are, then you know it kind of lives or dies with that. But if there's some good market cap, and especially like you said, there's like 15 trees, 15-minute respawn. Even if you just like left a character out there to hit those trees every, you know, like maybe 2-3 times an hour, then hop back to your main character. I mean, like, there could be some value there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just depends.
I don't really understand the point of Odyllita meal. Is it just fodder for cooking boxes?
What are
Like
the buffs on it?
Odyllita meal needs only 15, right? It's like 15 for a box. So it's good for boxing, but it's not really seeming all that good for marketplace cooking as compared to just like sticking
what
to
buffs
the
does it give you?
Valencia.
5 damage reduction, 5 special attack evasion, minus 5% damage from monsters.
So we already have. I guess maybe maybe make a new cron mill later on, possibly.
Guess.
Yeah, that'd be the only thing I could really see.
Yeah, I don't understand what purpose it serves, but
'Cause
I
you can
guess
combine
it's
that
a
with-
recipe for.
What's the other one that
bosses.
does damage reduction for monsters? What's the other meal that does that?
I mean, simple cron meal does 6% plus. It's got down attack multipliers and monster AP and all kinds of useful shit.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they're going to do like a pure defense cron mill. So they'll combine like 3 different mills that are defensive in nature, and then do like a really
Yeah, it
defensive
kind of
cron mill.
seems like that's where they're headed.
Mm-hmm. Because they have like the new
Odyllita Part 2.
Do you guys remember the days of running like 4 food rotations, like super sweaty?
I did that even after cron mills came out. I'm pretty sure like I had a big part to do with like why they removed that, because I was doing it for healthy XP or whatever it was. Is it health? I think it's health.
Elixir rotation's still better than running giants if you actually get sweaty about it. It's a lot better.
Yeah. Also, there's no evasion on like giants, so if you run an evasion build, you kind of have to run Helix. Which is kind of annoying.
Wait, you can't run a draft and elixir at the same time though, can you?
No, that's what I mean. So you have to, if you want to get an evasion out of your elixirs, you have to run like a full elixir rotation with Helix elixirs.
I was thinking about the other day. I think they should allow players to they should redo it and make the elixir system like PoE, so you can like mix and master your own elixir into your own draft. And you can't sell the draft on the marketplace, but you could mix any 3 together, and you could pop up to 2 for your character. And I think that would be really, really awesome, because then maybe if you want to do defenses, you do Helix and Steel Skin or whatever the other one is, and whatever, and you put all those together, and you have like defensive elixir draft for yourself. I don't know. I think something like that would be really cool, where players can create their own drafts instead of the developers like, what do the players want, and making them for the players. I think that's really arbitrary. It would allow the players to create what they wanted for, like, if you want to grind in Kama Sylvia, then you get Griffin and some other stuff, right?
Yeah, dude. Now we're talking alchemy with secret recipes where you can mix and match stuff.
Hell yeah. I think that'd make it really fun.
You got to experiment and get the. Do you remember the early days when we had to actually literally test alchemy recipes to see how many materials you could get away with using?
Yep. I think they need to bring that back in a way, like, or make it where you can refine elixirs to a higher tier, so you can refine the green to blue to yellow, and then you can combine those in the drafts and use that. I don't know, something to spice it up, something to change it, make it fresh. It's 4 years and it's kind of getting stale and useless in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I kind of like missed that like mystification or like wonderment back before we like knew everything. Because nowadays it's kind of like most things are like figured out, right? If you want to grind, I mean, you start at Polyforest, you may make a stopgap at Blood Wolves, then Akhman History, and then end up in Star's End or Sakria forever. For life skilling, you do your Imperials every day, you gather when you have energy. It's kind of like everything's figured out, right? Whereas before there was always that like debate. It's like, oh, Sawzens are pirates, or like, like Metal Solvent was really good because it had double proc rate before they nerfed it. And then like we used to have energy for processing. So people had to like, keep up with bed timers and things, like different things you could do to like kind of sweat it out, I guess. But now it feels like everything's figured out, right?
Yeah. Here's like the ultimate problem. Like the central market was really, really nice in the raising of the caps. But when you raise the caps on the prices, you let the market solve that problem for you and figure out what shit is actually worth. When you have a like command economy where the developers decide what everything's worth, like the players actually have to be creative and like make spreadsheets and do math to figure out what things actually cost. And we kind of like, that was one of the, like, as much as I love the central market, that was a core thing that we lost in this game when it came out, was you no longer had to solve those problems. The market will do it for you.
Sure. Yeah. I think one thing is like, if this is just a brainstorm idea, not necessarily something I think they should do, but like imagine they had every season in BDO, they redo all the nodes. So you have in wintertime, you can't grow some veggies because it's wintertime. So you have to grow things that grow in winter. So then every like 4 months, all the nodes are changing to different stuff, and it's all this chaos every 4 months. You have to, it's just complete chaos.
Really good, or no one would ever put up with that shit.
Well, I mean, I think it'd be interesting because you'd want to stockpile like maybe wheat during like harvest time, right? And so you would just like I need to buy like hundreds of thousands of wheat, and then during the winter, you'd use all that up making beer and stuff. Like, oh, it'd just be chaotic every single time. And some seasons you'd have wheat would be good, other seasons barley would be good, and so it just change all the time.
I think it would be cool, but it would have to be like
That sounds like a disaster.
Have to be worth actually using.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
bro, they can't even make sure that hunting mastery affects the new hunting spots. You want them to make like seasonal based growing crops and shit.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter if it works or not, because there would be some that would be so overpowered that everybody could get into it, and some that would be so weak. And then like I think the idea though is it refreshes the entire game though, with very little effort.
I don't think it's very little effort. I think that there'd be a lot of balancing that would have to go into that, and it would be completely not executed properly.
100%, and that's why it'd be awesome.
That's one thing that this game does, like, has the potential to do really well, is you can get a lot of gameplay out of very minor changes to the systems. And I think they should take advantage of that more. I think about things like putting like Rulipy in the game, right? Which like provides hours, and Moreland hates Rulipy and a lot of people do, but like the point is,
example, ecology is a better example, I think.
Okay, ecology, yeah, where like it gives you like these things to go out and do that don't really require that much development or that much work, but they actually like create a lot of content and things for players to do.
True.
Yeah, I think ecology is one of the most brilliant features they ever added to the game. Like, very low amount of work on their end, and that gave me tons and tons of content, and it gave me a reason to explore literally the entire map a second time and like go places that I've never even been to begin with.
I'm out here killing gorillas right now because of ecology.
True. It's the only reason I'm going to go to those 300 AP spots and die is to get the S ranks. So,
what's your DP? Wait. What's your DP right now?
360 something.
Oh, bro. No. Let me know. Like, send me a message on Discord when you're going to stream that. I want to watch that.
I'm not going to go until I get my duo Fallen God. So I'll be a lot tankier at that point. I'll have the monster DR and I'll have like 10 more DP.
Oh, that's perfect. I still want to watch it. You'll make it even better.
Speaking of nodes, they actually did a pretty good job with nodes in Odyllita. I'm surprised. It's not nearly as much of a disaster as Drigan or Kama Sylvia was. There's a few nodes that seem to be pretty good. There's a few other nodes that like need a little more research, but might be good as well. There's some interesting trade-offs as far as using Adraxia or using Old Wisdom Tree. And how you like path to different areas. It's not amazing. It's not as cool as like any of the old world node setups, but just having new nodes that are actually viable and having something to think about and solve is a huge upgrade from the previous two expansions. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the new nodes. The chicken node looks super good so far. I think a lot of people will take the mass node just because it's close to things they're grinding anyways, and because it's mass and it's hard to get. But yeah, even some of the other nodes look like they could end up being pretty useful. The only thing is, like, when it comes to the actual materials in the area, I don't know why they even keep making new material. Like the nickel and the thornwood pretty much have like, you need some for the matchlock, and then the only other use is like furniture. So it's really weird. I don't know if we needed even more useless ores and timbers every expansion. I mean, at the very least, they could make like new trade crates or something, but there's just nothing to do with them. So
yeah,
it's kind of weird.
I think they should have had one sap, one timber, and one nickel, and then just called it there. And that would have been, and they have nickel and give you like a decent amount of mithril, and then that would have been like good nodes. Because then if you needed any of those for like making a boat, they do have new boat parts coming out, which will hopefully use the timbers, and that should give some value to that. But I'm not sure. I haven't looked into those yet. Those are going to be coming at the port in the future. What are your favorite nodes so far?
I think the chicken and egg node is going to be the best one. I'm still testing a lot of the other ones. I mean, the potatoes and grapes are close enough to town that it's like, depending on market value, those will probably be good. The fishing node is interesting. It's near some of the other stuff. It's not too expensive to take it, especially since in theory, we're all going to have Thornwood Castle node leveled up in the future if that ends up becoming a thing. So there's a lot of like nodes that you can hop to with just like 1 or 2 investments off of a grind spot that you might have anyways. That will make them pretty solid.
I went through Thornwood through Old Wisdom Tree. And I didn't really like the fishing node because it was like 8 to go from the chicken to invest 8 CP for. I thought it was a little high.
Yeah, I think it's a little high right now, but if Thornwood Castle becomes like a bread and butter node, then the fishing node I think is just 1 hop off of that trail.
Okay.
Yeah, it also kind of depends on if you have the Turos node connected or not.
Makes sense. What do you think about the Trace of Valence node?
The so far, like, I don't know, needs more testing. I think you get about 1 trace per cycle. And I mean, Trace of Violence has super high value, so could be worthwhile, but you know, I haven't like fully plugged it in yet because we need more data.
Yeah. Okay.
It's weird that it doesn't have any like main material to get, because usually those excavation nodes have some trash that'll pile up that kind of make them a little bit more worthwhile over time. You know, you'll get a nice like 30 mil dump of silver out of nowhere when you sell your trash.
Yeah, there's nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just Trace of Violence, which I think means that some of the time your worker's just coming back empty-handed, or maybe, I don't know if he always comes back with a minimum of 1. But yeah, it's kind of strange the way they did that.
That'd be so weird. He comes back and he's like, "Your worker completed blank." He's like, "What? Wait, what? What just happened?" Well, it seems looking forward to hearing. Actually, I'll make sure I check out your website for seeing how good those nodes are in the coming weeks.
Yeah, it'll probably take us a couple weeks to get enough data, but then we should be able to throw them up.
That'll be awesome. I think the storyline. What do you guys think about the storyline or the main quest?
They made me go do the fucking Kama Sylvia quest line again that I already did just because there's a new version of it. I didn't get credit for the Kama Sylvia part 1 and part 2 that I did. I have to go do it again on the day of a new expansion when I'm trying to experience new content. I was fucking baby raging so hard on day 1, man.
Same, and I ain't going to do it anytime soon. I have to read.
And the entire new area is locked behind the main quest. You can't even get knowledge for like the fucking blacksmith unless you've done the entire main quest. So I'm forced to go do the Kama Sylvia quest line from 2017 on the day of a new expansion. Like, who decides this shit? I don't get it, man.
See, it would have made sense to me if you could only get knowledge on, I guess with the members of Odyllita, but you couldn't get members of the slaves, because the slaves, you can't get knowledge on. Like they can't talk to you because of their collar it's on. They have like a curse put on them or something. And that would make sense to me, but they didn't do anything that tied into the storyline directly like that. It's like this, they just blanketed everything with like this really, really, like simple logic.
I mean, it does. Like, did you guys go through the story? Because like none of the lore makes like I'm not saying this is a good idea. Like I understand why you're annoyed about it, but from like the lore standpoint, like none of the main storyline makes sense if you haven't done the comic quest line. Because like the whole thing is like you were out there like and you revived Kama Sylv, and then the Ahib are all like pissed off at you because that's gonna like lead the God of Darkness to the world. And like, if you haven't done any of that, then the main storyline doesn't make sense. And also, like, if you actually, so the story is actually pretty good, and the vibe in Odyllita is like really good and really creepy. It's good to play around Halloween. But like, and so the whole thing is like, you need to like, get the permission of the queen to like even be in the land and all this kind of stuff. So they're like, the reason they did all that stuff is lore reasons, which, you can argue is like you're annoyed about, but like that's why you have to do the comic quest line first, because the lore doesn't make any sense.
I was fairly aware of like the rough lore of it all. I really think that though, like the reason it's a problem is because there's no cutscene that simply explains to you like what's going on. They needed like a 10-second cutscene where you watch it, you get audio, and it's like, you can't enter here without the queen's permission, and you can't talk to anybody without the queen's permission. You can't do anything with the queen's permission. And then you do the entire quest line to get the queen's permission. And then you're like, And that would have made sense. That's all I
just-
needed was like a 15-second cutscene.
The story delivery in BDO is garbage. I mean, and this is what like other games have figured out a long time ago, is that delivering story through quest text is terrible because 90% of the player, no more than that, like 99% of the player base doesn't read it. So like they need to just like if they're going to write lore and care about the lore, they need to stop trying to deliver it all through quest text.
Yep.
Do other games do this? Like, does World of Warcraft force you to go do the previous expansion when a new expansion comes out?
No.
So, like, what's the difference? Aren't you a big deal in that game too? And you're like killing gods and shit, and the previous lore doesn't make sense unless you know the previous story. Like, I just don't understand. Isn't that the case in every game? Like, yeah, there's shit that happened previously that's important. But from a gameplay standpoint, I mean, we were talking earlier about how like the reason they keep releasing new regions instead of releasing just better updated content is so that they can market it and like get people to come back to the game. Imagine you're someone who hasn't played BDO in 2 years and you hear about Odyllita and you're like, oh, I'm going to come back, check out the new expansion. And you're bottlenecked into 4 hours of fucking Kama Sylvia before you can even do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was just a dumb decision to tie it in that way. Like they shouldn't have had the lore set up in that way. I agree. But that's why they did it, is because they have this whole storyline.
I think also a lot of lore is still in World of Warcraft is still delivered through text, just because the game was structured that way 15 years ago, and since then 15 years has passed, and a lot of companies know it's not a thing.
World of Warcraft does a really good job delivering their story nowadays.
You think so?
Like it's not delivered through quests at all. I mean, it's not delivered through quest text. The thing is, it's like all you need to do is have a voice actor that like tells you the lore and talks to you while you're like killing the mob for the kill quest or whatever, and then you'll understand what's going on. But no one's going to sit there and read it. But that's what the game, that's like what PoE does. That's like what anyone who's like good at delivering their story does. It's like you have voice actors reading the important lore while you're doing the quest. You don't have to read it and then go do the quest.
Well, even like old school WoW raids, you had the bosses, you know, expository before the fight where they're like talking to each other or they're talking shit to you or whatever. And you're kind of getting a sense for what's going on. You know, like Ragnaros is smacking Domo in the head. And like after he gets summoned from the depths or whatever, like you have the general gist of what's going on just from what the voice actors are telling you before the fight.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is that the volume for characters in the game and like your animations and your attacks and everything, all those sounds are all tied to your character's voice. And so they need like another voice line for like cinematic voice, you know, voiceovers. They need like another toggle there that goes up and down, because I didn't realize that some of the voiceovers that they have for NPCs when you talk to them, they're amazing. The voice acting is really good. But I mean, who really cares? Because there's some NPC saying like, "How are you doing, adventurer?" You know, But they sound good and crisp. But I didn't realize those were so good because they're on the same toggle as my character. My character goes for like 20 hours, and I turned it down to nothing. You know,
I muted voices from I think grinding pirates back in like 2016 because I was just tired of all the and now it's like, you know, it's the same toggle as all the NPCs. You can't hear, you know, the guy from Glish talking about fucking horses anymore because you're tired of listening to pirates.
Oh, for me, it was the Do It Better girl. I couldn't take her anymore.
She's BioHack doing all that engine. Do it better!
I turned my voice volume back on every time I go to Velia just so I could listen to her.
I don't like her new voice actor. They should have left that. That was too iconic.
Dude, all the new ones are bad. They replaced Amerigo. They replaced Deve. Like, they need to bring back all the old ones.
Yeah, back in the day, they had different accents too, depending on what territory you're in. Like, they had like a what was it? They had like a Middle East accent, and then they had a Southwest accent, and every region had like a different accent. And now they've lost that as well, for most of them at least. What else is there? I think that's everything for Odyllita, isn't it? Is there anything else we missed?
Pretty much.
Are you guys going to do fishing over in Odyllita? Try to see what the fish are worth?
Trade managers. Did you notice there's no trade managers in the whole region?
I thought my icon was just turned off.
Trading is a life skill in this game still? I thought
so if you fish, you can't turn in your fish nearby. You have to like go across the map to Duvenkroon or something.
Is there Imperial fish delivery?
I don't think there's any kind of fish delivery. I don't know.
Wow.
Oh, apparently there is Imperial, but
Okay.
I don't know, dude. Yikes.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's from a law standpoint, you see, Borland. They don't allow traders to trade with them from outside countries because they're a closed-off economy like North Korea.
Apparently, there's a Imperial fish delivery in Odraxia, but yeah, I think that's about it.
I'm kind of curious if the fish will be worth anything. I want to kind of go and see what the prices are. Because some of the fish from the node are not bad. There's one that's like 30 mil in the market or something. Or no, not 30 mil. No, it is. It's 35 mil if you sell it to Valencia. If you pick it up, it's like one of the prize
10 mil
catches.
base, yeah, and it has a longer freshness, so you have more time to get it over there. But I don't know, dude. Fucking fishing. Don't even get me started on fishing.
So Global Labs this week. If we want to move on, Global Labs.
They have one fishing loot table for the entire expansion of Odyllita. Do you know how complicated and complex the fishing loot tables were for previous expansions? There was so much time and effort put into that shit. There was an entire like subculture of fishing in BDO where people would go out and like test things and figure it out and like try to complete their collections and shit for like, I don't know, man. It's just another one of the parts of the game that they
hotspots, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's another part of the game they just completely ignore with the new expansion. It's like, oh, but there's grind spots.
Is like the river and the ocean all the same fishing stuff?
I think it's pretty much. I think the ocean is different, but in the actual Odyllita itself, Moonraker has a really good post about it on the forums. But yeah, like there's pretty much just one fishing loot table for the whole region.
And before there used to be ponds, rivers, and there was oceans, and they had different diversities inside regions. They had like 2 or 3.
Well, I mean, Kama Sylvia has like 5 different fishing loot tables, and they have different rates for things like relics. And like, it actually took people time to figure out like which spots were good for relics and which ones weren't, and you know where the different regions were.
Oh,
Grana used to have the gold, you know, fish that would drop there until they like killed that as well. Like there was just so much interesting stuff they did with fishing in previous expansions, and with Odyllita, it's like clearly just one guy made a fishing table and then pressed enter and then like moved on with his life.
This is so they messed this all up for nodes 2 then. Yeah, I'm looking at the table here. You can do the territory resource on the map. Yeah, it's supposed to be for every node in the game. They're supposed to have its own fishing table, and it's supposed to have its own node table. And based on the number of workers
the node
that go
bars
there,
don't even exist on the map in Odyllita. They literally didn't even put the bars there to see like if a node is drained or not.
How do you like? So you just have to check it manually, like when you put a worker on it.
Manually check the workload of the node, which you can't do while your worker's on the node. You can only check it while your worker's not on the node.
Oh, come on.
Yep.
Wow, that's a huge oversight. That's not a small one. That's a huge oversight. Because that makes nodes almost impossible to do for a casual player.
That's why they've got me.
Oh my gosh. Thank goodness for your website. Thank goodness for that. I can't believe that. So for the global lab, they have not much this week. They added a security system to Histria. So similar to the security system at Krotuga, you'll have the same thing now at Histria, and it'll spawn mobs. You have to kill them, and as you advance security levels, I guess you spawn a boss and kill it again. They didn't make it very clear, but apparently it's just like Krotuga. And in Aukman, they added a mechanic as well. So they're continuing this theme of adding mechanics to old grind spots, which I think is good. In Aukman, the little guy comes out of the ground and like sees you. He now will spawn, and he has like a bomb mechanic. So basically, you have to kill him, or he does like a huge AoE bomb will go off. And so he basically comes out of the ground. He starts charging his bomb. He's like, woo, and you got a certain amount of time to knock him out before he sets off. And I think if you kill him, then it basically lowers all the defenses of the mobs in the area. So it's basically, if you kill him, then all the mobs in the area are weaker, and you can kill him faster and get more money. So it's an interesting mechanic, sort of like a die or debuff the mobs mechanic. So kind of curious about that. I think it's good though.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. There wasn't much on the
I
global lab.
I like the security mechanics, honestly. Like Tortuga is one of my favorite places because you kind of have that like chance to spawn the boss to get a latent necklace just to mix up the grind. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
kind of like that. I like it a lot.
One of the things that I think is really interesting is also on the global lab they're doing something with gatekeepers and doing something with there was something else, but it's like it wasn't very clear, so I didn't want to include that. But they're changing something about gatekeepers and some other bosses in the game, so we'll have to see what that looks like when it comes out. But right now it's a little too vague. They basically gave me like 5 paragraphs of lore about why they're doing it and like one line about what they actually did. But the one thing they did that I thought was really cool is the warehouse. They're making it where there's way less lag when putting items into the warehouse and pulling items out of the warehouse. So this should make it where some people who are using like Granil for enhancing for like good profit margins, but to make fail stacks like really, really cheap, that might be a little bit more viable than it used to be now. Or like selling
Wait, are
Granil.
we talking about the central market, or are we talking about
The central market.
storage?
The translation was warehouse, so I'm assuming that means central marketplace. They said they basically fixed the lag and input that was happening with that.
That's actually really nice. That was a big problem. Like that's a big reason why I didn't want to ever enhance with Granul, because it takes so long to get it out of storage.
Yep. So that might be something that becomes a lot more viable in the future. And I think that's it for the global lab. I didn't really notice a whole lot of else. Is there anything else about Black Desert, the events, or anything that were interesting for you guys?
Yeah, there's some other interesting stuff from this week's patch. They kind of just slapped a shitload of PvP damage onto Awakened Lawn and Awakened DK and a few other classes.
Yeah.
Awakened Kuno. I mean, some of these make sense to me, but I feel like Awakened Lawn might suddenly be a big deal. I mean, some of these increases 25%, 20%, 25%. Like, Lawn just got a huge buff out of nowhere, and I think Awakened Lawn was already doing okay in PvP.
I don't understand.
So I'm not
these
sure
big
where
buffs.
these numbers are coming from, but some people are happy. Yeah, I mean, Awakened DK, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Like, all right, so the thing is with any type of buffs or nerfs you do anything, you don't want to do big strides, because if you over buff or over nerf, then you make people mad. And so in this case, like it should have been like maybe 5 or 10% on a few of the abilities. And this seems way overreaching, and I'm not sure who was even asking for this. Like, who were they listening to that said that 4 abilities need a 25% buff and like 2 abilities need a 20% buff? I don't know. Are they trying to make it better? Like, are they looking at?
I kind of understand what they're doing for like Awakened Wiz and Awakened DK, but the Lawn one, I don't know who's struggling to get kills as an Awakened Lawn.
I'm in a different class, obviously, but I always felt like Awakened Lawn was hit like a potato, like a noodle. Like they were never
really.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she
But
doesn't.
I have like it's a bit different when you have like 900 evasion. But yeah, I was always
Does she just have bad accuracy multipliers or something and don't scale against in-game evasion builds?
It could be.
Well, she has.
Maybe she needs more accuracy then instead of 25% more fucking damage across the board.
So she, as a class, they have a class base of evasion and accuracy. So she has low accuracy, but scales very, very well with evasion. And the thing is, like, Lawn has very, very reliable combo to kill somebody. Very, very reliable. So if you do have enough AP to kill somebody, you can kill them over and over and over and over this for days and days and days. But I think the scaling on that was bad. But I think most people just got more gear, right? That was the answer for most people. Is like, well, I'll just get more gear, and then I'll just have reliable combos. And the price of reliable combos is I have worse AP scaling. So I don't know.
Maybe they should just get some of these new AP accuracy items from Odyllita.
Yeah, they're gonna be good. I think another thing is maybe they're looking at balancing classes for Node Wars, and they're not balancing it for 1v1s anymore. Because it's always been this debate: do we want everything balanced for 1v1s, or do we all want it balanced for Node Wars? Because we really can't have the best of both worlds. It's not really possible to have our cake and eat it too in this case. So maybe they're trying to balance it for Node Wars to see it's underperforming Node Wars and trying to buff it. Because I could see that.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think that some classes should just be trash in Node Wars, and some classes should be trash in 1v1, and that's just the way it should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think there should be some that are just dedicated for they're just not Node War classes. And if you don't like that, then play another class. I do agree with that sentiment. So I don't know. I don't know where it seemed left field to me. Can you explain why Wizard and DK got the buffs that they did? Why did they need that?
Well, Awakened DK is just sort of like objectively worse than Succession, and part of that might be because the Succession is probably a little overpowered. But Awakened DK kind of just like fell off a long time ago and stayed behind. Especially other semi-range classes. I don't think it brings anything to the table when you could play like a Suck Wiz or an Archer or all these other kind of range or semi-range classes instead. They've been slowly making some changes to Awaken DK to kind of restore it to how it used to be. Like I think they finally put the float back on Seed of Catastrophe because it used to be a float and they changed it to a stiffen and they changed it back to a float. So like they're kind of making DK what it used to be. But I think the Awakening was still suffering quite a bit. So it looks like they just slapped a bunch more damage across the board on like every Awakened DK skill.
I'm always afraid of DK because I remember their glory days, and that is something to be afraid of. And I'm a little afraid that these might be bringing that back a little bit because it's sort of like you pick Wiz to Wizard or you pick a long range class that does a ton of damage. And I think they're getting to a scary point where they start doing so much long range damage that you just can't go for them and just blow people up before they get close to Node Wars.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of always been a problem in BDO, even from the pre-Awakened days. There was a massive imbalance between range and melee, and we could see that come back a little bit with Awakened DK.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it. And for Wizard, Wizard is the same conversation. Succession stronger, Awakening is weaker, so buff Awakening instead of nerfing Succession.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, the buffs on Awakened Wizard aren't as crazy. 13% on Aqua Jail and Hellfire, 7% on Cataclysm and Belied. So probably not enough to make Awakened Wizard able to kill anyone in 1v1, but I mean in large scale where everybody's playing Witch and Wizard, that'll add up if you're actually playing Awaken instead of Succession. I think most people just choose to play the Succession, though.
I kind of feel like this is the wrong choice. I feel like Wizard's already like too strong in the Node War scene as it is, or too meta.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if they would just delete PA, then like fine, do whatever you want with Wizard damage. But
sure,
yeah, they're already so fucking meta that like it kind of makes sense for them to not do the most damage because they bring so much else to the table. But I mean, the Succession is so fucking overpowered that like they've got to do something to make the Awakening appealing.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I really don't like how we currently have like 5 or so classes that are just super meta in PvE, and then we have the same thing in Node Wars and the same thing in 1v1s. And I feel like there needs to be a little bit of more. We have so many classes now in BDO. We need a little bit more variety. There's not enough room to breathe for some of these classes on the download that need some more. And I'd like to see them kind of bring down Wizard instead of bringing it up. I just don't think that's the right choice in this case. But I don't know. Maybe they have some grand plan, and this is like part 1 of part 2. You know.
Bio, have you been playing any Kuno lately? I know you used to do Awaken Kuno back in the day.
No, I haven't played Kuno in like a year.
I'm curious to see how she feels after these buffs. She got some interesting boosts as well.
They're PvE buffs, right?
No, it's all PvP.
All PvP? Okay.
Yep.
Did they buff for spin to win ability?
I think they did. Yep, 7%, and then she got some 20% increases on some of her flows.
I wonder if she was having trouble finishing up the high DP pool.
Actually, no, I don't think this is her spin. It's been a while. I forget the name of her skills. This might not be the spin to win.
Lethal Spin Spree is.
Yeah, it's not. It's not Lethal Spin Spree. Never mind.
Okay.
The biggest change of the patch this week: when a world boss spawns, you can now PvP in other areas that aren't the node where the world boss spawned.
The best change in BDO history.
Holy shit, dude. That one change is better for the game than all of Odyllita combined.
That's sad to hear, but so true. It really is more. That is actually bigger than Odyllita coming out. It really is.
I I actually miss World Boss PvP. I think they should have never taken it away. But yeah, the fact that it's taken this many years for them to fix this shit. I mean, I guess better late than never, but wow. Thanks for finally doing it, I guess.
Yeah, true. I
This
that's
means you
something
can
I
catch
really.
horses during World Bosses too now, because I don't know if you
Oh,
guys knew
because
this.
they're PvP.
Yeah, the PvP rection made us that you couldn't catch horses. I think it had something to do with losing karma.
The spaghetti code, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, you can catch horses now during World Bosses chat.
So big fix, dude.
It.
Big fix.
Oh, that. There's now they can actually make the horse training, the training life skill what it was truly meant to be. I wonder if they can you catch elephants now too during World Bosses? Was that something that was disabled before?
I don't know about elephants, but
I don't know.
You can catch elephants?
There's some process for catching baby elephants after your first one. I don't know how it works. Yeah, or maybe it's guild elephants. I forget.
Quest, right? I have 2 elephants. I didn't catch it.
I thought the elephants were for like guild shit. I don't know.
Maybe it's for guild. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I just remember the baby elephants disappearing out my grind spot because people were capturing them. That's such a huge change. I back on the world boss thing, I do think that the world bosses should drop loot in your Black Spirit Vault. Because that would basically allow people to PvP and not worry about losing their loot. Because that was the worst part about doing a world boss is you'd be doing a world boss and then someone kills
that was
you.
The best part, dude, is you could camp people off the boss and they wouldn't get to loot it.
Well, I agree, but Pearlbus
be
disagrees
fucked.
with that. I mean, I do think that was a really good part of it. And field bosses you can still PvP, by the way. Field bosses you can. And so I've been I made Ghost Strike really mad recently, and so he was camping me at field bosses for like a solid like week. So we'd have like little PvP scuffles back and forth, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I miss those days. I miss the days of your guild locking out a channel.
I think they should bring back bosses that spawn, but only a guild can kill them. So your entire guild registers to kill it, and so you and other registered guilds will have to PvP for the boss. Whoever gets the most damage.
Kind of what
damage.
Thornwood Castle's gonna be, but I don't know. We'll see. Like on a smaller scale.
When's that going to come out? They announced that December last year.
Bro, who knows?
The DLC has come out.
Wait, they didn't add that? I thought that was already here.
No, it's invisible walled off. It's not in the game. I don't even think it's on Global Lab.
I'm not even surprised, dude.
You can talk to the NPC. There's an NPC down by the island, and it's called Thornwood Castle. And then you're supposed to talk to them, and then they teleport you into the castle. And then the castle is then you're able to go and do your activity or whatever it is, the competition.
There's a bunch of stuff related to Thornwood Castle in the lore.
Mm-hmm. I think they changed a lot of it though. I'm curious if they're going to like, what's it called, backlog it or like take it out later on.
Thornwood Castle's either going to save the game or it's going to be completely dead within hours.
I think it's going to be dead within hours. I don't think that either the loot will be so good that people will do it even if they don't want to, or it will have bad loot and no one will do it. I don't think the activity itself will be fun enough to be able to stand on its own feet like Red Battlefield.
I think the activity could be the activity is the make or break part. Like if the PvP that you get there is actually interesting, that's what's going to make it so that people will keep going back.
I think what they should do is release it on Global Labs and then set up test periods for it and do incremental changes to it over the course of like 6 months, because I think it's very important that they get that right.
Bro, all they got to do is copy Albion Hellgates. It's literally so simple. Like, I hope they don't fuck this up.
Hellgates were fucking sick, dude. That was probably my favorite thing about Albion. Oh my god, dude.
Do that shit for hours.
Make it happen. You got the recipe? Copy paste. Copy paste. Don't try to be creative.
Shut down Shadow Arena because there's literally like 5 people that play it on Steam and put it back in the game.
Bring it back, baby.
Yes.
Bring it back.
Also save BDO, dude. Not even gonna lie.
And I think they should make it where when you log into the game, the login menu, you choose Black Desert Online or you choose Shadow Arena, right? Just like when you log into Fortnite, you get to choose storyline mode or you get to choose Battle Royale mode. Same thing. We should develop Black Desert, bro. We'd have it.
I would fix this game in a week if they put me in charge.
I believe that. I believe it. You really would. I would question. I would question some things, but it'd be 10 times better for sure, easily.
Want to talk about other games?
Sure. What do you guys want to talk about? I think I put Lost Ark and something else on there.
Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know much about Baldur's Gate 3. Did we talk? We talked a little bit about Lost Ark on previous podcasts, right? I don't know if there's really much new to go over there.
No, it's not. I just put something down there so we could remember to talk about other stuff. Baldur's Gate 3 is made by the same company who made Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. So it's supposed to be pretty good.
They did a pretty good job.
Yep. I hear this one is currently the first chapter of it. Like more like a preview, and it's like the first chapter of the storyline. So the full game's not out yet. But yeah, I hear good things about it so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. What do you guys want to talk about other games, though? Or maybe Baldur's Gate?
Bless announced an announcement. So they will be having an announcement on the 12th where they will announce their next announcement or something. So keep an eye out for that.
All right, keep an eye out for an announcement. What do we think is going to happen? Bless Unleashed
I think
PC?
they're just going to give the date for their closed beta or something. Yeah.
Well, how many times do you release the same game? They're going for a record.
No, this is Bless Unleashed. It's not a re-release of Bless Online. This is a similar but different game, which is actually going to be. I played it on console and it was actually pretty fun.
How would you rate it? Like, what was it good at? What was it bad at on console?
It's it almost gave me like the WoW Classic vibe. It's kind of slowed down. The combat is not like BDO combat, but it is still action combat. It's like a little bit slower and more deliberate. Getting hit by a mob is a big deal because recovering health is really difficult. It's got like a much slower sort of like deliberate theme park feel to it. But the regions, like everything looked really good on Xbox. Like the towns were really impressive. The combat was really fun. The PvP takes a while to get into, but eventually like it's pretty decent. It's pretty skill based. The gear progression is mostly good. There's like some RNG cancer similar to BDO, but I was shocked actually at like how fun Bless Unleashed was. I don't think that it's going to be like super fun for more than a few months, but I'm looking forward to playing it for a month or two when it comes out.
This is pretty good. That's something to look forward to. That's strange saying about Bless, though.
I know, dude. I was just as shocked as you. The only reason I even tried it is because they literally paid me. Like, I got an email from the Bless Unleashed guys about the sponsorship, and I'm like, look, dude, I got to be honest with you. I hated Bless Online. Like, the only way I'm going to do this is if you guys give me a shitload of money. Like, I was just straight up with them. I was like, I'm not going to even try this game unless you guys, A, pay me a lot, and B, even if you do, I'm going to be completely honest with my audience about how much I hate it. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything just because it's a sponsored stream. And they were like, yeah, we get it. It's fine. Like, here you go.
Wow.
And they converted me, dude. I had a lot of fun. I kept playing it like well past the sponsorship. I played it on Xbox for, I don't know, probably for like a month or so. And then, I didn't really have anyone. I didn't have many people to play with on Xbox, but on PC with more people playing it, I think it's going to be super fun.
Well, that's very promising hearing that from you. Is it a BDO killer though?
Absolutely not. No. But it's going to be it'll be a fun side game. And I think it'll be one of those games that like you come back to whenever there's a content update and, play it for another few weeks and, max out and get bored or whatever, just like similar to what you would do with a WoW expansion. But overall, it's a solid game.
BioHack, you've been playing a lot of Raid Shadow Legends. Tell us a little bit about it. What's been going on?
I think Moreland should tell you about it because he's got a sponsorship.
Bro, I got some insane raid pulls last night during that sponsored stream.
I had to leave after. What did you get in your second?
You won't. You're not gonna believe when I tell you who I pulled.
Who did you pull?
I pulled Madame Ceres and Sifi, dude.
What the fuck, you RNG carried motherfucker! It's like the two best champions in the fucking game.
They are the two best champs in the game. I pulled them both, man.
Holy shit, congrats. Yeah, I left your stream. I wanted to see you pull, but I'm like, I need to get online or I'm going to be on. If I want to do a stream, I'm going to be on way too late. So I left before. That's crazy, dude. Holy shit.
All
Yeah,
right.
it was nuts. I got some crazy RNG on gear too. I got some triple speed pieces that we crafted, and like, yeah,
Oh, wow.
it was wild.
Now,
Did you buy a speed pack or something with your sponsorship?
I bought it.
Cookie?
No, I used the sponsorship to just buy a bunch of void packs. So I bought like 35 void shards, I think. Um,
Nice.
and I just got insane luck. Like it was 1% chance for legendary. I pulled 2 legendaries. I pulled Cornar and Seafy.
I want corner so bad.
Yeah,
I have
and then I
Aya.
pulled Cerise, and I pulled I pulled a bunch of good epics, but I didn't. I was hoping for a Skull Crown and didn't get that one. But I pulled 2 Golden Reapers. I pulled obviously the Cerise. Yeah, dude, I got insane luck for 35 shards. I should have not have gotten that many champs.
Damn. Yeah, just Sifi and Saris is nuts.
Oh yeah, people pull thousands of shards trying to get Seafy, so that was just unreal.
all right.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
explain
Congrats.
to people if like Rage Let Shadow Legends, like it has a gotcha. It's a gotcha game. What is so good about it? Right. What draws people into it?
The number one thing I like about Raid Shadow Legends is that it's not a weird, creepy weeb game. Every other gacha is like these strange, like 6-year-old anime characters. I don't fucking understand it. I think it's
basically
weird.
get back.
Like, I don't see the appeal. I don't know how these games are so popular, but I guess there's just really that many weebs out there. And yeah, Raid is just like a cool looking game. Like the champions you get are, not 6-year-old anime characters. So I think that's fantastic. The game itself has gotten a lot better in the last month. It had some pretty major flaws, I would say, in terms of like gameplay and PvP. But they fired the CEO like a month or 2 ago. And ever since they did that, the game's been getting a lot better. So we had another sponsored stream this week. This is like the 3rd or 4th time they sponsored me, but I play it a ton, even like off stream, even without the sponsorships. It's like a fun second monitor game where you just collect champions and you level them up and, try to make them stronger. And then there's like some PvP you can do. So, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a mobile gacha game. It's there to try to get you to spend money.
Yeah. I mean, that's that makes sense.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, like that's like people always asking like, oh, how do you not get bored just like enhancing all day? It's because I play like Raid on like 2 computers next to me, so I always got stuff going on in those games. It's pretty fun. I like it.
An AFK game to complement an AFK game.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just dopamine. Like it feels really good to get a good champion, and then it feels really good like when you beat the next stage of like the dragon dungeon or whatever. Like it just feels good to hit milestones in that game, and it feels good to get lucky.
Oh yeah, that's what I did. I last night I pushed my dragon team to dragon 19. I can't get through 19 though, but 20 should be easy once I get there.
Because of the affinity.
Yeah, all my champs are magic and it's a force affinity. So
Yeah, dude, I would get stuck on every force affinity spider. Like it would be, I was like, I just gotta get lucky and beat this once.
Yeah, I like the boss team I'm making, the unkillable team with like Maneater and Rosin should be able to get me through spiders 20 like really easy once I get them leveled up, but I just don't have them leveled yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun little side game.
Sure.
What else?
Khur, what have you been playing? BDO only?
No, dude. BDO's like my side game nowadays. Most of the time I'm playing Dead by Daylight, bro.
Dead by
It's
Daylight.
not like
Huh?
new, but I've been playing the heck out of Dead by Daylight, man.
What's it about?
It's like a survival horror type thing where it's like you have 4 players that are survivors and you have 1 killer, and your objective is to like repair generators and escape before they kill you all. So
Oh yeah, why they hang people on little spikes? You get to pick your evil dude, or whatever.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen that played a little bit. It's pretty popular on Twitch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very popular game. Very, very popular. And then people tried to get me to play Genshin Impact. That's also been like the big game nowadays. Dude, I can't, dude. I get enough
Either, man.
Bro. I can't, dude.
If it was a different art style, I would be all about it. But I just feel nothing like when I play those. I just feel creeped out when I play those types of games.
Yeah. But it's super popular nowadays, dude.
I know, man. I see everyone streaming it.
Yeah, I'm really, really curious. I think I might actually play Genshin Impact a little bit. At first, the storyline I watched Cutie play, And bro, the starting storyline is like weeb, like it looks like this little kids game, right? Made with anime characters, and then it slowly develops into like an actual like stronger storyline and stuff like that. But I was mega turned off by it. But I saw some stuff like the open world is like Breath of the Wild. It's like an anime style Breath of the Wild. That's probably the best way to describe it. And once I saw some of that stuff, I was like, okay, this might be a little bit better than what I thought it was. Obviously, it's a gacha game, and they want you to spend money and stuff like that. So I'll probably play it until they make me spend money, and then I'll be like, okay, well, that was nice, nice little experience.
There's such a missing hole in the market for like good gacha games. Like there's so many ways you can blend gachas with other genres and just shit out money. I can't believe that it's not more common.
Oh, this one's gonna make a killing because on a lot of the other gacha games, one, it's like typically you don't have free control over your characters like this one does. And another thing is like once you get to like level 16 or something like that, you can enter another player's world and play with your friends.
Oh, co-op.
Yeah. So it's like it has that same gacha predatory thing where like pulling a 5-star character is a 0.6% chance. So like people dump thousands of dollars on it, but then you also get to like play.
You get to brag about it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're like,
The
yo,
one thing that's not
look at
clear
my
to me
Dazzle
about the
character.
game is like what the end game is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Breath of the Wild is always about
There is
like,
no
it's like the
ending,
journey.
really.
You know, it's the journey. The end game is
Yeah,
the
but,
journey.
like if you have a gacha, you want people to be like dumping shit tons of money onto it, like in 2 years from now.
The ladders, yeah. So you know how like all the gacha games have the ladders, sort of like how Raid has, where it's like not actual PvP, but it's like the offline ladders. So I imagine they'll add those to kind of like give it some kind of spice. But from what I've seen, from like just sitting in Discord and watching friends play it, it's more so like ends up becoming like a daily grind thing where you hop on, you do your X amount of dungeons per day, and then you just hop on something else.
Gotcha. Is there a mobile version or is it just PC?
Yeah, you can play it on phones, can't you?
Yeah, it's mobile and Xbox, or was it PlayStation 4? Mobile and PlayStation 4 and PC, and they're all like cross-play connected together.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the best. That's the gotcha. Well, that's about all I have. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, I think that's about it for this week.
Well, awesome. How about close us out, Morlin?
Wait, 1 second. So did you can you guys confirm if apparently Korea got the tag system sharing weapon thing last week or this week? Is that true?
I don't know. Chad, is that true?
I've had a couple people telling me that they did. Is it true that they got it? Because if so, that means that it's basically confirmed to be a thing that's actually going to make it through tests like global labs. Because a lot
I
of
thought
stuff
they were going to change it like 15 more times before they released it.
Yes.
Red Raider's saying that Korea does have it. It's confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah, like a lot of people, or I've had like at least 6 or 7 people tell me that in the last couple of days that they had it. So that's cool, right? Like I just
They've had
wanted
it for a couple weeks. That's super cool. I think that there's still some issues with it. Like if you use it, you still can't do. I mean, I guess this isn't that much of an issue anymore. But like you still can't do trading or anything, right? So like if I was fishing and I was tagged to another character, doesn't that kind of fuck me over?
I'm not sure. Probably though.
Yeah, at least it
Well,
used to.
fuck people who fish in this game. Am I right?
Yeah.
You can't turn in Imperial crates either, can you?
I don't think you can. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
you
all.
can.
Yeah, it's really weird. Just like fuck you if you want to use your main to be a life skiller.
That's true.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
You can do
But I
AFK
think
train
we
dummies now though. You can do that even if you're tagged.
That's good. Yeah, I mean it's not perfect, but I think it is a really sick feature. So I'm glad that we're getting it.
Yeah, it's definitely better than not having it. I just really wish they would have like separated it from the tagging system and just made it like an option to duplicate your weapons.
They just love going back to old, outdated shit and finding a way to force it back down our throats, man. That's the Pearl Abyss way.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's like I think that the idea of going back and updating old systems is good, but you need to rethink from the ground up what it is. And what they're doing is they just go back and they figure about how to like jerry rig it in there.
Yeah, I feel like it's all stick and no carrot when it comes to old systems. It's like, oh, we're gonna force you to do this shit that you don't want to, instead of like making it useful and make you want to use it.
Mm-hmm. By the way, what do we call the Toro Grand Spot? Is it Toro or the Tonkunak or whatever how you say it?
I think Turo's easier.
Yeah.
Just call it what the belt is
All
called.
right,
Right?
let's do that. I wanted to clarify that so we can have that on record.
Tunkuda.
I've been struggling for like a week, bro, and I already have a hard time saying words, and that just was impossible.
Yeah, just call it Tunky.
Hey, going to the Tunky spot.
You guys want to tunk? Any tunkers in chat?
BioHack.
All right, I think that's about it. Anyone else got anything?
I don't know. This is some bullshit.
All right, well, that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for joining us for episode 20. Tim will be back next week, and we will see you then, Saturday, 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. Peace.